it is time. I think that the spookiness will begin this episode anyway. So I think it is time. I think it really is. Happened last time. We got the rundown on all the spookiness. We got all the rundown on you know, all the junk that happened in the past. And I think that's about it. Shion doesn't believe, but Mion does. So it's really sus. Hello, Brad. Hello. How are you, Brad, huh? Okay, continue. Oh, right. The freaking tips that we need to do first before we get into it. There's a bit of tips. I remember there's like 3 tips or something. There's a lot of tips. Oh, 4 tips. Oh, God. From the scrapbook. I don't remember getting any scrapbook? Maybe Shion gave it to us? Should you ping the Discord? Did it not? Gosh dang it. Heckin' bot broken. Heckin' the bot broken. I guess I haven't waited long enough for it to ping the Discord, but here, I'll ping. I'll ping. Higu time. Higu time. Twitch.tv. There. There, I pinged Discord. Gonna be lurking? Alright, no problem. Alright. We're just doing tips for now, so hopefully people could show up when, you know, before all the stuff happens, you know? East! Always a pleasure. Okay, from scrapbook. Oyashiro-sama's curse. In the ancient Onigachi Village, the anger of Oyashiro-sama, his curse, was feared above all. However, it is seldom stated anywhere what eventually happens and what sort of divine judgment, curse, befalls them when Oyashiro-sama is angry. From various reports, all hell will break loose. That's good. That's good. Demons will come flooding out. The miasma from hell will flood outward and kill every villager, letting not a single one escape. The ones evoking images of the village being annihilated stand out the most. Nah, I think what stands out the most is all hell breaking loose. I think that one stood out pretty well. These terrifying ideas of divine punishment are in alignment with many other religious beliefs regarding the apocalypse, hell, and it's easy to imagine they are ways of convincing people to obey the teachings in order to prevent such an end. Yep. The conditions for inciting Oyashiro-sama's wrath are likely the same as taboos in the Onigachi Village. I believe that when an act was performed that violates one of these taboos, Oyashiro-sama was termed angry. And in order to quell his anger, they would perform the aforementioned sacrificial ritual. Who's writing this? This isn't Keiichi. That's someone else. This is someone else's scrapbook. This is not Keiichi. I don't think. Anyway. The human sacrifice ritual. Sacrificial ritual was simple drowning involving plunging sacrifices into Onigachi swamp, which was considered hallowed. Of the rituals in Onigachi Village, this one was unique in that the sacrifice would sink slowly over the long course of 3 days and 3 nights. I believe it wasn't so much the killing of the sacrifice that was important, but rather the symbolism of them sinking as the submerging of Oyashiro-sama's anger. For that purpose, they must have had a passion for learning various methods for keeping the sacrifice from sinking too quickly, to force them to sink more slowly. Yeah, I might be Oishi. Out of all of the characters we know so far, I think, yeah, Oishi would be the most likely to do this. Unfortunately, as far as I can tell from the records, those methods were not recorded. My thoughts are they might have used logs or some similar material to create a raft, and then set up a scaffold on there, hung the sacrifice up with ropes, and let them sink little by little over the time into the swamp. Ooh, like quicksand? Hopefully foot down? Foot first? However, if that were the case, it would not be strange if the ritual implements used for such a ceremony were honored as holy and enshrined somewhere. Yeah, so the tools made for doing the ritual is hidden, you know? So of course we wouldn't find them. Implements used for the ritual. Ritual tools utilized for ancient religious ceremonies are commonly referred to as implements or ritual implements. And even now, some of them are enshrined on the property of Furude Shrine in the three families. Yeah, that makes sense. However, the identifiable tools are all decorative, and none appear to have been used in rituals governing the dark side of an Onigachi Village. As the Edo area came to a close, many traditional rituals were lost, and were they lost as well? Or perhaps buried in the darkness. I don't believe so. Both the implements used on the night of the feast of Onigachi Village and those used during the sacrificial ceremony must still exist, enshrined away from the eyes of the masses. Without a doubt, they exist here, today, at this very moment, in Hinamizawa. Also, I'm nearly certain where they've been enshrined. What was once locked steadfastly has, for some reason, changed this year to a cheap-looking padlock. You may be able to do something about such a lock. However, it is not far from the assembly hall, nor is it far from the presence of people. Does Oishi really know this much? This seems... he knows a little bit too much. But the he may be able to do something is obviously referring to Keiichi. However, I will not give up. The night when it becomes a blind spot to every villager in Hinamizawa is coming soon. Soon, it will be Watanagashi. Who is this? I don't think it's Oishi. I mean, he is the most likely, but I don't think it's him. Something's up, man. That's sus. Festival's around the corner. Oh, hold on. I have to click. Hey, are you worn out already? Tomorrow's the real thing. We're gonna be partying until morning, until the very end of it. Got it? Got it. I'll give it everything I've got. Wahaha. Alright then. Youth is the greatest. Oh, is this just all the people of Hinamizawa? Pretty sure it's another person I can't name. Alright. Good work, everyone. Tomorrow's Watanagashi at last. Let's get some shut-eyes, have our energy for tomorrow night. Tomorrow is finally Watanagashi. Festivals are split into two groups, those who enjoy them and those who support them. The former only need to prepare their minds, but the latter needs not only that, but also painstakingly crafted plans and preliminary arrangements. While the general majority attending goes about enjoying the festival without a care in the world, will be strained the whole way through. Why? Sure as hell know why. Because the beer after everything's over is the best damn beer you will have. Wahahaha. Times like these, it's best to have energetic, physically fit people. It wouldn't be worth it if you didn't do your best until the very end, enjoying it all the way. Oh, he's here. Oishi-san came in. Everyone hurried to stand up. Oh, yes, Oishi-san. Hello, everyone. Excellent work out there. You can be at ease. Thank you, sir. Not even my seniors usually talk big about themselves can hold a candle to Oishi-san. We all bow as if we were one of those cheering squads of old. Kuraudo. Kuraudo? Sounds like crowd. Kuraudo. Oishi. Detective just waiting to retire, one who doesn't pay much mind to rules and regulations, and doesn't do too much in the ways of the real world. Looks like a rotten old man with a penchant for dirty jokes. My seniors, though, tell me he was a real fighter in his younger days, and that he may or may not have quite a heroic legend trailing behind him. Anyway, he surely has much more dignity and presence in the room than the section chief who came in with him. Everyone, I really, really need to thank you for your hard work on the preparations for the festival tomorrow. Everyone present stands upright and lends their ear to the chief's directions. We're on heavy alert for any thrill-seeking criminals expecting another incident like last year. I need all of you to focus your energy as much as possible on your mission to prevent any crimes from happening. Yes, sir! Of course, it would be best if nothing happened. However, everyone, please assume that an incident will, in fact, occur. Prevention is number one, but it probably won't be enough. This year, too, someone will die, someone will disappear. There's really no doubt about it. I don't think you should laugh about that, but... Everyone apart from the section chief smiled painfully. Oishi-san, that won't do. We need to be more serious about this. Yeah, no hoo-hoos, huh? The important part isn't to get past the night of the festival. It's to be able to quickly, swiftly, and aggressively pursue whatever does happen tomorrow night. I won't tolerate anything less than your best. Clench those cheeks. We're gonna rip all the skin off the ghost of Oyashiro-sama's curse. Yeah! Man, yeah, Oishi's really determined. He knows something's gonna happen. He knows. He knows. He's not gonna tolerate anyone letting their guard down. Not at all. Okay, so continuing with the actual story with Keiichi, K1, my boy. Oh, it's been a while, hold on.
What? Keiichi-kun, good morning, good morning.
Rena was ecstatically waving her arms at me, already brimming with energy. What do you mean good morning? It's already evening. Just say hello or something.
But, this is the first time I've seen you today, so I think good morning is right. It's right.
I got it. Okay, then good morning it is. Good morning, Rena. Grabbed Rena's head and rubbed it with my hand. She squirmed, revealing it in a motion like a cat. Hey, Kei-chan. Sorry about yesterday. I left without telling you. Oh, right. She got all mad because we were talking about the things with Shion. No, it's my fault. Sorry for making you wait so long.
Are you talking about setting up for the festival yesterday? How was it, Keiichi-kun? Did you do your job properly?
Slight muscle pain throughout my body and sluggish movements were already obvious. Yeah. I did great. I'm pretty worn out, though. I grinned dryly with the three of us break out into laughter. Where's Satoko and Rika-chan? Are we meeting up with them at the festival?
Yep. Rika-chan's already been there since yesterday because she has such an important job. I think Satoko stayed with her too, so they're already at the shrine.
Right, I just remembered. Today was Rika-chan's big performance. She'd been practicing especially hard for this day. As her friend, I needed to make sure I went and cheered her on. Alright, let's go right away.
Yeah.
Relishing in the good times, huh? As we got closer to the shrine, we started passing by more people and seeing a lot of parked cars. It began to get noisier too. I thought I could hear something like a Bond dance song. Without being able to restrain my impatience, I dashed up the entire flight of stairs. Wow.
Keiichi-kun, you're going too fast. Wait for me.
Man, Kei-chan, you're such a little kid. Calm down. Whoa, the shrine grounds. They were packed with people. It was a festival if I ever saw one.
Wow, they were all out this year too. Amazing, amazing.
They're coming from Hinamizawa. Huh? The veteran old man from Kimiyoshi branch family is here too. I think that old guy went home from Watanagashi last year and stayed in bed ever since. Yeah, there are a lot of villagers here that I didn't really know. They must have all been pouring in just for today.
Oh, it's Satoko-chan. Hey!
Kei-chan, you were literally a child. That's so true, but I feel like around the time of 14 years old is when people start saying, "Oh, you're such a kid," to other kids.
Oh, if it's in everyone. Yes, hello to you all.
Yo, Satoko. There's a lot of people today. Don't get lost in the crowd, okay?
Who do you even think you're talking to?
Satoko too seems somehow energetic. Of course, I'm the same way.
Huh? Where's Rika-chan? She still has free time, doesn't she?
Rika was giving her respects to the mayor and other important people. She shall come before long. Oh, that's Satoko. I see. Rika-chan is the shrine maiden for today's festival, after all. It's probably paying for her to say hello to all the elders.
It really is a pain.
She just pops up out of nowhere.
Hello, everyone. Oh, Rika-chan! I want to take you home!
Rika-chan wore an immaculate shrine maiden outfit that looked fresh off the shelves. It's a perfect fit for her somehow mystical appearance. How does it fit? It's not too long, is it? My grandma gave me some face safety pins just in case the sleeves are too long.
It's alright. It's really comfortable.
As she spoke, she began to do some twists and stretches.
It's great, so cute! Oh.
There's approximately one person here getting a nosebleed from watching Rika-chan move. God.
Keiichi-kun, don't you think she's cute? Don't you? If you don't, then she'll be all mine and I'll take her home with me.
I think she's really cute. Totally cool. Enough that I want to pretend to be her big brother or dad and take pictures with her. If we take a picture from two different places and make it stereoscopic, we can eat, or rather stare at, a real-life Rika-chan at our houses whenever we want. God.
Oh, that sounds great. That sounds fantastic.
Rena's eyes and mine glittered with stars as her nose bled and we drooled. Jesus Christ.
Rika, you'd best stay away from them. Yes, or I might get locked away in a basement somewhere.
Yeah. You look like you're enjoying it though, Rika-chan.
Me, you're being harsh.
We all laughed together again. Okay, let's not hang around here. Let's get to the festival. So much time until Rika-chan's big debut. You're right. Great. Everyone, let's go, everyone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love how I freaking made Satsuko sound like an actual gremlin. Yo, if this isn't the daughter of Sonozaki, eat up. The yakisoba's packed full of pork. This year we filled it up as much as we could. We even put in fried calamari. Gotcha, old-timer. The yakisoba this year looks quite an achievement. You have squid, too? You put a ton of time into this, didn't you?
Wow, it's tasty, it's tasty.
Yeah, the squid is delicious, but the aroma is just fantastic. Love gremlin voices. She is a gremlin. I'm glad it's fitting, then. Wonderfully compensates for how soft it tends to be. It's a delightful amount of squid and pork in it, too. Yep, not bad at all, I say. Kei-chan, you sound like you could walk into a cooking program and become the host.
Yeah. When I see Keiichi-kun acting like it's so good, it somehow tastes even better.
I don't discriminate amongst delicious food, so anything I say is tasty has gotta be worth trying out, right?
Then Keiichi, please give us your opinion of this yakisoba again?
I'll do it in 2 words. Oh god. Absolutely scrumptious. If I had a second stomach, I'd buy another one right now. I heard my 3-star rating. The whole line of people suddenly formed in front of the yakisoba stand. #1 promoter, huh? Wow, that's amazing. Kei-chan said it was so good that a little crowd started to form. Not bad. There's nothing to brag about, but I still decided to stick out my chest and put on airs.
Oh, is that so? Then perhaps I shall try it out. Mister, could I perchance bother you for some takoyaki?
Satsuko bought a stick of takoyaki, balls of fried octopus from the adjacent stand after blowing on it. Put one of them in her mouth.
How is it, Satsuko-chan? If you give it a good rating, then Rena will buy it too.
Jump, jump. Yum, 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 yum. Cool.
Now it's time for Hinamizawa
Michelin. What the heck? Michelin?
Judge Satsuko Ojo to give her impressions.
She didn't like it. Oh my god. Though she was all for it a moment ago, Satsuko hesitated to give her thoughts. Hey now, what's the matter? Everyone else takes one of their own and puts it in their own mouths.
Huh? Rena got kipped.
Is it bad? Yeah?
Mine's bad too. There's no octopus in it.
It's takoyaki vendor. Must be some sort of summer festival only octopus-free takoyaki stand. An evil takoyaki stand that skimped on the octopus because it figured it would make them good money today. Mine has some. Yeah. It's pretty good considering there's octopus in it. What is it made of then?
How am I supposed to explain that this octopus-free takoyaki is any good?
Everyone wondered about that. Our quizzical looks seem to be drawing equally dubious stares from the people in line. Don't let them find out.
How about this? Takoyaki without any octopus is really healthy. And even people who don't like octopus can eat this delicious takoyaki.
After hearing that, several surprised guests left the line. Yeah, makes sense. The exact opposite effect. Alright, then I'll give it a try next. Self-inspired take on takoyaki, which you can clearly taste the simple flavors of flour, green onions, and pickled ginger. The unaffected taste is bolstered by the absence of octopus. It wasn't half bad, but after hearing that there's no octopus in it clause, even more people left the line. Rika-chan, any good comments? You can be honest.
400 yen is too much for this.
Oh my god. $4 is too much for hickin' takoyaki without octopus. That was too honest. Even more customers leave the line, dealing a lethal blow. There are other takoyaki stands around, after all. Well, I mean, we might not want to be able to do this. Hey, Satoko, you started all this, so give us a big turnaround.
I can't do it. How do you expect me to lavish praise upon takoyaki without any octopus in it?
Oh my god. I know, yeah, he's actually getting roasted. Imagine if this was his life's work, and these freaking children come along and ruin everything. Oh, you idiot. Satoko's anger burst with the finishing blow.
The customers are all gone. Huh? The guy's staring at us. Why is that? Why is that? Oh.
That's what he gets for not putting octopus in takoyaki. I mean, yeah, maybe he's like a vegan or something, you know? Vegan takoyaki. There's no saving this crowd. Perhaps I, Keiichi Maebara-sama, will lend a generous hand.
Keiichi-kun, you could do it. We want you to save the takoyaki vendor who didn't put any octopus in it.
Don't smile as you say something so bitter. Alright, fine. This must be the only chance you'll get to see a pro at work, so watch carefully. I shoved the stick into my octopus-less takoyaki and crammed it into my mouth. As before, there wasn't any octopus in it, but Mion's had some in it. That was the important point. The man who runs a takoyaki stand, he truly loves takoyaki, in every meaning of the word. No, it could be even said that he adores it. Eh? Everyone gasped in surprise, including the takoyaki vendor, glaring at us. This man truly does love takoyaki. Because he loves it, he doesn't want to create a half-hearted random ones. Isn't that right? Takoyaki vendor looked down, unsure. Oh wow, he really did just want to make a quick buck, didn't he? Those who were watching listening intently, watching to know why octopus-less takoyaki deserves such a high rating.
Keiichi-san, if he really and truly loved takoyaki this much, then why did he make takoyaki without octopus at all? Is he not betraying that very takoyaki?
You may be right. In one sense, it is betrayal. However, it's the best possible compromise this man could find. This man is making real takoyaki today, as he always does. However, only one or two of them on each stick are the real ones. Well, you're right. The one I ate had octopus in it. Considering it did actually have it, didn't taste bad at all, you know? Right. That was a bona fide takoyaki. And as for the other ones, it was the biggest compromise he could make against the bias of the general populace, who all think there need to be 8 pieces on the stick, or else it's not real takoyaki.
Huh? Keiichi-kun, I don't understand what you mean. Why is one of them real thing and the other one's fake? Why?
Taco means octopus. Yeah, you're right. The secret lies in the octopus. Mister, this octopus. It's true Akashi octopus, isn't it? In recent years, the number of octopi, found in Akashi has decreased and their prices have risen drastically. Prices are now so high that you couldn't think of using them in takoyaki. Then the man, who had been looking down this whole time, mumbled, "Yeah, that's right. Akashi octopus is very expensive." This man absolutely had to have the Akashi octopus. He could have bought much worse quality octopus for cheaper as much as he wanted. He would have still been able to fool everyone. There are plenty of other scamming takoyaki vendors who claim theirs is Akashi, even though they're not. But this man couldn't accept it. He wouldn't tell lies. Akashi octopuses are supreme. He would never relinquish this one's stubborn conviction. This man loved takoyaki. That's why he never lied. Well, yeah, I guess he didn't say anything before about all of them having takoyaki in them. Yet, there was one point they absolutely had to compromise on.
What might that be?
The number. The popular opinion is that a stick of takoyaki should have 8 pieces on it. Even if it's real Akashi octopus, he couldn't charge 400 yen just for 1 piece, could he? If he didn't have 8 pieces, nobody would buy them. This man wept over it. In order to make just 1 true piece of takoyaki, he wouldn't let him lie through the other 7. Whoa! The octopus-free takoyaki vendor burst into tears. I gently clapped one of his shoulders. It's alright, you can cry now. No matter what anyone else says, I will never forget how genuine you are. You, sir, are a true vendor of takoyaki. You're the only one in the world with the right to call him that. Clap, 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 clap. Small claps. As I embraced the shoulder of this man, shielding his manly tears, those watching delivered a round of applause, moved by my speech. Everyone, I beg of you, please, eat some of this true takoyaki vendor's takoyaki. If we don't treasure genuine men like this, how can we protect the true path of the takoyaki? If nobody else will eat them, then I will eat them all! Oh my god.
What? Everyone watching is lining up. Keiji-kun, you did it! You did it!
I think it's more that they thought Kei-chan's propaganda speech was interesting rather than they thought that takoyaki actually looked good. Kei-chan, you could probably sell plain old rocks if you tried.
You would go over well at the entrance of Akihabara Station.
Oh, wow.
Rika, I've never heard of this Akihabara. Where is it?
Absolutely stunned by my successful pitch, the guy manning the stall next to this one called out to me. Nah, I could believe it worked. If you could say that a person is passionate about what they do, then people are more likely to take part in it, I think. Hey, you guys, do that for my sweets too! Great, you all get the gist of it, right? It's your turn this time, Rena.
Okay, I'll do my best. When apricot sweets are cold, they're very, very good. The apricot sitting so quietly and nicely on top of the syrup. Oh, it's so cute! I want to take it home. Oh.
Looks like she lost herself in this midway through, but a girl giving it such natural praise was itself bringing in some customers. A line was quickly forming behind Rena. Next up is Okinomiya stand. Okinomiyaki. Oh, I see. Okinomiyaki. Aha, I get it. That's good. Satsuko, you're up.
Well, this crunch of the fried tempura, better mixed with yakisoba, is simply to die for. With a huge piece of bacon laid on top, when you bite into it, it all comes flooding out. Nom, 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 nom. Yeah, that's freaking great.
Oh, wait, who's talking? Satsuko? No. Then now I want to try some too. And a huge line formed at my words. What on earth is this? So basically, all these onlookers are just following us around to all the stands. Oh god. So not really doing much. I mean, as long as they're buying it first, I guess?
When people hear about food from others and then try it themselves, it tastes a lot better than it normally would.
So that's it. Even Rikchan was gorging herself on the food, getting sauce on the bib she'd put on to prevent her shrine maiden outfit from getting dirty. Nice! All the guys are getting into it too. Okay, Kei-chan, which one should I do? Right, Mion, go to the stand next to that. Show them the depths of your power.
Huh? But Kei-chan, that stall next to that is...
Whoops, a goldfish scooping stand. Bit out of our element. Yeah, you can't say those taste good. Now, as a club president, I won't flee no matter who or what my opponent is. Let's get started.
I look forward to a very splendid performance, Mion-san.
The onlookers were also watching Mion with hopeful eyes. Hello, friends! Hello, elf_YYY. E? Possibly? Welcome, welcome! Here's your net and bowl. Okay, here we go. Goldfish are energetic today. They really look delicious. Oh no. Mion, do not eat what should be pets. Don't do it. Oh my god. Small things like these, you can crunch them down whole. Oh my god, Mion. Mion, that's a line you shouldn't cross. God. Ugh. Mutter.
Mion-san, what in the world are you saying? Miss-chan, you eat them? Did you eat the one Rena caught last year too?
No! Rena caught her one last year and Mion Hicking ate it. Oh god. No, I didn't say anything like that. Mion's face went red and she shook vehemently in denial. Well, I mean, you just said so yourself that they look really delicious.
Yes, you did indeed say so. My sister is omnivorous. She eats anything that she can get in her mouth.
Oh, wow.
If they taste good, then maybe I'll try one next time. No, Rika-chan, don't! You'll get sick!
Wait a second. Hey, what the hell? Shion, how long have you been there? Hey, Akei-chan. Mion, everyone, good evening. Where'd you come from, Shion?
I've been here since the bit with this yakisoba. You were all so loud, I found you right away. Jeez.
You got nothing to do with this, do you? Go somewhere else already. Man, she really hates Shion, doesn't she?
Jeez, Mion, don't treat me so cruelly. Right, Kei-chan? You're okay with me being here, right?
She asked, grabbed my arm, and pushing her chest into it. Yeah, they're like hecking dating in this route almost. Like Keiichi's first confirmed GF. Oh my god.
Keiichi-kun, you're a pervert. Your nose is bleeding.
When you squish a jelly Jonah, all the jelly comes out, right? It's the same. Oh my god. Isn't something I have any control over.
Is that right?
The more will come out if I squeeze harder. Oh my god. Jesus Christ. Oh god. Uh-huh. Yep. We know what's going on. Shion, what the heck are you trying to do?
How vulgar. I seem to have misjudged you.
God, I want some night market food now. Dude, me too. Oh my god. All this talk about food is making me so hecking hungry. Dude.
What about my flirt chest?
You can try and clasp on my other arm too. Oh my god! Jesus Christ! Keiichi, stop. Keiichi, no. Keiichi, stop. Uh-huh, and ho. I know how it is. I know what's going on. Shion, Rika-chan, and I, our faces bruised, fell into the ground, limbs sprawled. Rena, come in for the knockout. Nice job, Rena.
Everyone's so dirty. Oh. Rena punched me. It really hurts.
Good.
Rika, you get what you deserve. You get what you freaking deserve!
Sheesh. Now that Shion was here, the energy around us had increased by 120%.
Your friends are so much fun, Mion. I never get bored of them.
Alright, if you weren't here, it would be way more fun, you know?
I want to stay with y'all, but if I continue seducing Kei-chan, my sister looks like she's seriously going to bite my head off. So I'll retreat for now. I'll be back.
See you, Mion. Don't be back. Get the salt. Someone get the salt. After teasing her older sister so much, Shion ran away into the crowd of people and disappeared. Rather suspect. Not even rather. Incredibly.
I feel like I've more borne witness to a rare side of Mion-san. When Mi-chan is with Shi-chan, she looks kind of cute.
Rena smiled happily, earning her a whack on the head for Mion. Don't say dumb stuff. Let's get to the next stand already. It went just about like that, really noisy and lively to the other stands. How's this story anything spooky yet? I don't know. But things happen on the night of Watanagashi, so we know something is going to happen. We're just suspiciously waiting, anxiously waiting for whatever is going to happen. We were paying money towards the beginning, but midway through, the guys running the shops thought we were just too funny. We ended up being able to fool around without paying much more. Yeah, spooky usually starts after the festival. Thump, the vigorous sound of a big taiko drum echoed through the air. Oh, Rika-chan's performance. Patience is a virtue. Elf, that's so based. You're right, though.
Rika, look, it looks like it's time. Yep, this looks like it.
Right, just about time for Rika-chan to appear in the offertory dance. That's what this whole freaking game is about. Patience, isn't it? Like, that's the goal? You have to be patient to get to the spooks?
I'm a little nervous.
Believe in yourself. All of your sweat will definitely amount to something, Rika-chan. Neil slapped hard on Rika-chan's back.
That's right, you'll do fantastic, Rika. I'll do my best. Yeah, that's the spirit.
Ball my hand to a fist and raise it into the air. We're rooting for you, Rika-chan. Go for it. Yay! Remember? Go for it. Yay!
Go for it, yay!
Rika-chan gave the best smile I'd ever seen and pivoted on her heel and ran off.
Okay, we should get going too.
Right, let's go cheer her on. We're like patient to get the answers, true.
You mustn't. You must keep silent during the performance. I got it, jeez.
I got it, jeez. I rubbed a hand through her hair. She was worried about her good friend up to the end. Definitely a slow burn. Things pick up faster after next chapter. Oh, okay. That's good to know. I don't remember too much, so since I watched the anime, but we better hurry. All the good spots will be taken. Come on. Leon ran off. Everyone else followed a moment later. Large amount of people already clustered into a tight space to watch the edifying dance. Obligatory mention of the 7th mod if you've not already heard of it. I think someone mentioned it before, but I can't remember what it does. But I want to freaking play this raw in all of its glory. Wow, there's a lot of people. Turned around to look at everyone else, but nobody was there. Where did everyone go? Probably got lost amongst all the people. Finally, I spotted the back of Mion's head on the outside of the crowd. Definitely doesn't look like I can get over there. Well, we got separated. No big deal. Wow, more people who have sat through Higurashi. Uh-huh. There has 3 others out there. There has to be. We can just meet back up when Rika-chan's dance is over. Gave up on finding the others and wandered around, trying to look for a place where I'd be able to see better. It didn't take long for me to realize I'd have to settle for watching between the heads of people in front of me, though. Yeah, always has to be like that. Dumb. Once again, an even louder taiko drummer sounded. This one was to announce the beginning of the dance. Couldn't see very well, but it seemed Rika-chan had come on the stage with the elders, who were in priestly garb. Updated sprite CGs, full voice acting from the anime JP cast from the PS3 Switch version also tells you who's talking with each line. Oh! Okay, oh my god. Telling who's talking with each line is freaking amazing. Out of everything, I wish we had that. Yeah, maybe I'll do the voice acting just for the last, the answer arcs, maybe. Couldn't see very well, but it seemed like Rika-chan had come on the stage with the elders, who were in priestly garb. I heard low exaltations of the admiration and the seniors rubbing their prayer beads in gratitude. Everyone's heads were in the way, I couldn't see. It was really frustrating. We should have cut playtime short and come here to get good spots earlier. Rika-chan intoned the prayer. She looked as she took a festival hoe and walked into the pile of quilts stacked on the altar. That's right. The point of the ceremony was to purify bedding and to hold memorial service, wasn't it? Then, a solemn offertory dance began. She had practiced using a mochi-pounding mallet. The awkwardly shaped festival hoe Rika-chan held seemed very heavy. Back and forth, up and down. It was doubtlessly difficult to even lift in the air, when she sweated and waved, raised and dropped it again and again. She couldn't just deal with it and do it grudgingly. As the shrine maiden, she needed to retain the dignity and solemnity present at this festival. There must be a ton of pressure on Rika-chan's shoulders right now. Damn, why am I cheering her on from a place I can barely see her? I'm her friend, so I should be up at the best spot rooting for her. Kei-chan, over here! Someone tugged lightly on the back of my shirt collar. It was Shion. She beckoned me outside the crowd ringed of people. She had a mischievous grin on her face, and I took it as her saying she knew a good place where nobody knew of. Right, yeah. Yeah. OG sprites and backgrounds are too powerful. Agreed, 100%. June, what's up?
Shh. Just be quiet and come with me.
She told me so. She ran in a big detour around the throng. Man, it's great to have someone who knows the lay of the land here at times like this. Pressed though I was, I nearly lost sight of her right away. No more getting separated from me. I ran after her so I wouldn't be left behind. As I wondered in anticipation what kind of secret spot Shion had in mind, we left the crowd of people and went into the back of the shrine grounds. Hey, wait, where are we going? We're getting further and further away.
Shh. Just stay quiet and follow me. You'll understand soon.
Shion gave me a wink that reminded me of Mion when she said that. Oh, is she gonna show us, like, the shed? I know the shed is a thing. No sign of people and not much moonlight. It was dark. We had gotten pretty far from the crowd of people in the shrine grounds. How are we supposed to see Rika-chan's dance from here? I see. There's some high spots around there, isn't there? Like a rooftop or somewhere we can look down at it, right? What? Why do we have to climb onto a roof? Well, how else are we supposed to see Rika-chan's dance? Did you really want to see Rika-chan's dance? Shion! Shion! Oh my god. Kei-chan, could it be your strike zone is really low? Oh god. I don't think we're understanding each other here. Weren't you going to show me somewhere I could see Rika-chan's dance from easily? What? Who made up that promise? Ugh. What's going on? Why me? Why do I always misunderstand Shion? Is it my fault? Am I just reading the wrong things into it? Then why did you call me all the way out here? With an expression that indicated she wasn't fooling around, Shion pressed her index finger to my lips and said slowly and quietly,
This place is dark, dead, empty spot. You can't see it from the festival grounds, and now a male and female of the same age are all alone together.
Oh my god. Dude, Shion just wanted to get some, like, freaking banging going on, I think. Oh my god. Hey? Could this be Shion? She's not planning something crazy again, is she?
Shh! Look over there. See?
Shion whispered, pointing to the dark underbrush. What we saw, two figures, one male and one female. What's that?
Is that... We're at the scene of a rendezvous, of course. See, look closely.
I was about to say if she was dissing Rika. I don't think she was dissing it. She was just like, oh, Keiichi doesn't really care about this, and I don't, so we can just, like, go somewhere and do something a little fun.
Can you tell they are?
I peered intently into the dark at Shion's suggestion. Oh, it's Tomitaki and Takano-san. Two of them were clearly breathing quietly and glancing around to make sure nobody knew they were there, as they crouched before the entrance into a wooden store-like building. Oh, the shed! Oh my god, is this why they were killed? So they went into the shed?
Wait, Shion,
could this be what you wanted to show me?
Kei-chan, you see Rika-chan's dance every year. Any year, but you won't get another chance like this, okay?
I had thought the Sonozaki sisters each had their own personalities, but at times like this they seemed all too similar. I'm going back. Don't call me for something like this again.
Ah, if you move now, they'll see us.
At our noisy argument, Takano-san suddenly turned around. Yeah.
Oh my, who might that be?
We held out our breaths and tried to wait it out, but it seemed like Takano was now acutely aware of our presence. Shion and I exchanged glances, but then gave up and climbed out from behind the bush. Well, hello there. The moon sure is beautiful tonight, isn't it?
My, if it isn't Shion-chan and my Barakun. Good evening. Yes, the moon certainly is pretty.
What's this? Keiichi-kun, you sure are smart, you know that? Having a secret date in a place like this. I guess we accidentally interrupted something important. You're the ones who are meeting up secretly. Tomitaki and Takano-san laughed to themselves. It got on my nerves for some reason. Wait, so you two weren't having a little rendezvous then? Of course we weren't. Though I don't dislike that kind of romance. Oh,
Fortunately, this wasn't the location of a rendezvous either of you would want to see. Sorry for not living up to your expectations.
If this wasn't a rendezvous, then what were you doing? Tomitake-san, were you just messing around with the padlock on the door just now? After she said that, I looked at the two of them again, and I definitely saw it. They were hunched over in front of the warehouse door, fiddling with that pretty heavy-looking padlock. I guess we've been found out, huh? We were trying to break into the warehouse. But don't tell anyone, alright? Don't tell anyone? Are you thieves or something? Demanded unthinkingly, just of how absently Tomitake-san was grinning. Nah, never. Thieves are people who steal things, right? It's not like we were trying to take anything out of here. I see. Then why are you trying to unlock the door? This is forbidden storehouse for ritual tools. Yep. And this is what was talked about in the scrapbook as well. They say only Furude family and a mere handful of others are allowed in. Forbidden storehouse? I took a few steps back at that and looked on the store warehouse. Certainly looked like one, built removed from any signs of people, almost as if in secret. It was filthy, revealing how little it was ever opened. And it was built to be durable, giving it a strange, overpowering impression. Now that I looked at it more closely, it was certainly different than normal warehouses. Dude, there's probably some freaking body crucified in there or something. God. This place. They're called ritual implements. Basically, this is a warehouse where they store such tools used in rituals. Well, more accurately, maybe it's a temple where the implements are enshrined. The ritual Rika-chan is using for the offertory dance was inside here until today. Of course, if anyone but the Furude family enters, they'd bring impurity to it. So absolutely no one is allowed a single step inside it. It's a sanctuary. Shouldn't we absolutely not be coming to a place like this then? Yeah. However, Takano was wearing a childlike expression, an innocent smile at best, a terribly cruel grin at worst. I told you I was researching Hinamizawa's folktales and legends out of interest in them, didn't I? A lot of the answers to questions I'm curious about are hidden away inside here. I've waited all this time until today for this chance, and now we're gonna commit some crimes. Literally, she's just here to commit some crimes for the pursuit of knowledge. A chance. Everybody's eyes were fixed on that dance at the shrine grounds today. This was the ultimate blind spot. I see. I didn't know you had lockpicking skills, Tomitake-san. Stop it. I don't want to be doing this, okay? Do it for your waifu, huh? Sorry for taking you along with me, but this was all thanks to you, Jiro-san. I really am grateful. Sheesh. This is the only time I understand, Takano-san. Just some casual breaking and entering. Yeah, very, very casual. They're not even using anything like a pickaxe or or what's it called? A freaking crowbar. Yeah, at least they don't have any of that. Yeah, you can't leave any evidence, can you? I don't want to be sneaking around into places like this. You really are a good person, Jiro-san. Clink. Tomitake-san undid the padlock and placed it to the side. Ah! They did it! I didn't think they would actually do it. I thought they would just attempt and then leave it alone. But they're actually... Oh, they actually did it. They're actually... Oh my god. Yeah, this is definitely why they die. But that means we're gonna die if we go into it too, right? So, like, we need to not... We need to just keep our distance. It's open. Thank you. At long last. Takano-san gulped. With an unusually excited air above her, she gave the heavy door a shove. Sharp smell of mold and dust flowed out from the gap of the doors. I had claimed curses didn't exist, but in this situation, I could believe them. If we went to such a holy place with our shoes on, it feels like we could be punished somehow. How about it? Oh my god, Takano, stop. Your accomplices too. You came all the way here, so why not come in and take a tour? Takano, shut up! Shut up! No. No. If I had a choice, 100% no. Keiichi, don't be this stupid. Do not be roped into this, alright? It'll be a little field trip to a museum of precious cultural artifacts that conceal the secret history of Hinamizawa. And it's only open today. We're not accomplices or anything. Aren't you interested, though? Come on, let's take a peek. Shion said, predictably linking her arm with mine. Oh god, here we go. But we definitely shouldn't be doing this. This is a holy warehouse, isn't it? You said ritual implements, right? I really feel like we shouldn't go in it. I'm part of the Sonozaki family, so I have a good guess as to what we'll find in there. But I want you to see it too, Kei-chan. You want to show something to me? Thought it was just a ploy, but Shion's eyes looked entirely serious. Of course, she was just the sort that would lie with a straight face. Of course, I was an average boy too. My curiosity was at least twice that of a normal person. Sleeping, forbidden treasures, never to leave the warehouse. Chances like this don't often come around. Man, I freaking mess up these sentences so much. But, like, I say it in a similar way, so I just move on. If I had to choose, then I want to see. Till the locked door is open, though. I don't know about this. If you're not interested, Kei-chan, then you can just leave now. I think you'll wonder about it later, though. Tomitaka-san spoke after listening to our discussion, having himself having sat down on the stairs to take a short rest. Yeah, take a short rest and think about what he's actually doing here. I'll keep watch here. Go in and check it out with them. I'm not too interested. But it might be pretty interesting for a young guy like you, Keiichi-kun. Said, laughing mischievously. There was no ill will in his laughter. Tomitaki-san, do you know what's in there? Kind of. Takano-san told me all about it. Must be a pain to have to go along with your companion's unique hobbies, huh? Tomitaki-san didn't answer to that, only responding with a pained smile. Takano-san had this kind of scary air about it, like she'd drop absolutely anything, everything else for something she'd take an interest in, and go straight for it, but Tomitaki-san, on the other hand, seemed like it would be gold standard of what a normal person should be. Having him tell me so frankly to go check it out suddenly made the guilt feel lighter. Okay, but just a little. If it's not interesting, I'm leaving. You got it. Shion gave me another meal-like wink. Looks like we're decided. Shall we go inside? Jiro-san, we'll leave this to you. Tomitaki-san waved his hand off to see us off. Oh god, this is the inside. No, don't show us. I don't want to see. I don't want to see. Just keep showing the outside of the shrine. Because if we see, then that means we die too. And then that means all of you guys in chat will die too. I don't know if I could take this heavy burden. Oh god. The inside was pitch black, but Takano turned on the battery-powered lantern she'd brought, revealing the pretty cramped front room. Oh, it's more than one room? I thought it was just one room. It's so dark in here. Everyone, take care not to trip over anything. I appreciate the concern. Okay, Dorman, keep a good watch. We're shutting the door now. Don't shut the door behind? Well, maybe they have to shut the door in case anyone else comes up and is like, oh, why is the door open? Or whatever, I guess. Tomitaki-san Takano-san smiled spitefully, as if leaving Tomitaki-san out of something fun, and began to close the door. Man. Alright, everyone, have fun. Oh, dude, it's like freaking going to a freaking haunted house, almost. There's a low, heavy, and loud noise. We were all completely cut off from the outside world, and covered in silent darkness. Takano-san's lantern was the only light we had. It'll be fine. It's an outdoor lantern with backup batteries inside. It won't go out or anything. Looks like Takano noticed my uneasy expression. Couldn't help but blush a little and avert my gaze. Deeper inside, there was a heavy and old but sturdy door with solemn decorations on it. It was the last door sealing away what was within. Strange how it has an antechamber even though it's just a warehouse, isn't it? I believe it's set up this way so you can open one door at a time, never letting the room with all the tools be seen from the outside. Takano-san explained this, awfully impressed by its construction. But still, it's really dark in here. Huh? That's over there. It's spotted a circuit breaker hanging up from a clump of wiring, clumsily attached to the wall. Oh, here. Isn't this the light switch or something? I flipped the biggest switch I can find, which with a click, the pitch black room was illuminated by an old bare light bulb. Ah, dude, I wouldn't be freaking doing that. Even if you're confident that it's like the light switch, I wouldn't do that. Everyone scrunched up their faces at the sudden strobe light brightness. Don't! Before she even finished, she unslapped my hand and flipped the switch back. There was another loud click, and the room returned to darkness, with only the lantern for illumination. Ow! You can't, Kei-chan. We snuck in here, remember? If we turned on the light, it might give us away. Scolded by Shion fairly harshly. It looked like she was worried about whether anyone had seen them from the momentary light. It's all right. It was only for a moment. Takano-san remained a relaxed adult. It seemed like she was confident she could talk her way out of it if someone did see us. Let's go in. Here we go. There. The even heavier door opened, and this time, it wasn't just the dust that came out with the air. It was also a nasty smell. One smell was like opening a dust-filled cupboard in the back of the kitchen that hadn't been opened in years. And the other smell, the nasty one, was hard to explain, but it was like raw odor from a fish market. Ew! From how its sound echoed, this room felt far larger than the first. Maybe that's the sound of bold. Not sound! The freaking smell of mold, possibly. I don't know. This room felt far larger than the first. Takano-san held up her lantern and revealed the contents of the expansive room. Whoa. The back of the storehouse, right in front of us, was a Buddha-like holy object, standing there looking down at us. I was taken aback by its unseen force, lit up by a slender beam of the lantern.
That's the guardian deity of Hinamizawa, Ayashiro-sama.
Oh god, I hate that.
It's far grander than the one at the shrine.
Oyashiro-sama. So this is the spirit protecting Hinamizawa. The one guarding the holy land of Hinamizawa from the impurities of the outside world. The one delivering punishment after punishment upon those who attempted to sully the land with the damned construction. It looks like there are far more tools stored here than I thought, but...
This is so sad. None of them have been maintained. How unfortunate that they're in such a state.
Even in the dim light, I could see lots of strange objects lining the walls, ceiling, and shelves. Takano-san, speaking as if in a trance, were infatuated by the various implements filling the dark room. They weren't very festival-like or traditional, but instead this was more like a work of a blacksmith or a carpenter. There were lots of large wooden and metal tools packed in here. Putting it bluntly, it was all pretty boring stuff. I'd imagine it would be more artistic things in here from the Heian period, but... These are a far cry from being cultural artifacts. My expression betrayed my dashed hopes. They caught on right away.
Oh, is this not interesting for you?
I'm not into literature or art, so I can look at all this stuff, but I don't really understand its value.
Keiichi-kun, you really do look like you don't get it. I guess that's only natural.
Takano-san reached into a paper bag that she'd been holding this whole time, torn out a worn scrapbook, and began to flip through it. Takano! It was Takano's scrapbook. At the beginning, with the tips. It was Takano's.
Then just for you, Keiichi-kun, I'll tell you an old story. It's a common tale in this region. If you go to the library, it would even be on their recommendation reading list.
Telling stories in such a dark, creepy place? She must have a horror story in mind. Yeah. Shion's face belied nothing but calm. She had the same personality as Mio, and she'd have found fault with me being scared. I'll endure it for now and pretend to be calm.
Okay. Alright, I'll read it.
After confirming that I was going to be quiet and listen, she began to speak softly, like a kindergarten teacher reading a picture book.
Long, long ago, in a certain village in the mountains, there was a swamp. This swamp was very, very deep. Some even called it bottomless. People said it was connected to Hell, the land of the demons. The rumors said it was deeper than the ocean, and that anyone it swallowed would sink into the underworld, a bottomless pit.
Swamp, not pit.
Its name was Onigachi.
Wait, I thought back to the story I heard yesterday about the sacrifices sinking into a bottomless swamp. Could it be the swamp that she's talking about?
So then, the village was Hinamizawa, right?
You catch- oh god, freaking words! Who's speaking?
You catch on quickly, that's right. Though it was called Onigachi Village at the time.
Onigachi Village. That's a pretty inauspicious name. It evoked quite the imagery, doesn't it? I hear that the name was changed in the Meiji period. The name of the swamp connected to the hell was called Onigachi, which meant the demon's abyss. And the true name of this village, Hinamizawa, was Onigachi Village. The villagers belonged to that abyss, or to hell, in other words. They lived their lives worshipping the swamp, said to connect to it. But then, one day, demons began to appear, one after another, from deep inside the swamp. The villagers feared that hell was overflowing. The demons mercilessly attacked the villagers. They could only watch in fear. They could do no more than hide themselves and tremble. So did someone exterminate them?
Unfortunately, there is no Momotaro or Superman in this fairy tale.
Then, did they get the whole village together to fight them?
Heavens no. The villagers weren't nearly strong enough to fight on equal terms with the demons.
Then the only recourse would be to flee the village.
They couldn't do that either. To the villagers, it was their beloved homeland. It didn't matter how terrifying the demons, they wouldn't have run away so easily.
Heck, freaking fly, man. Then what did they do? Didn't they just get wiped out? Unable to fight, unable to run. All they could do was wait for the village to be destroyed. That's so sad, bro. If this is true. Then, when everyone had lost hope, their god, Yashiro-sama descended onto them. I see. So Yashiro-sama came down from the sky and beat up all the demons then. You're such a boy, Kei-chan. You always jump straight to using force to resolve things. Shion sighed, a little annoyed. Embarrassed, I held my tongue. Yeah, stop freaking commenting on the story. Just chill and let it happen.
Thing about Oyashiro-sama, he wasn't a violent god who would beat them up, like you're saying. He was a kind god filled with love and benevolence. The strength of Yashiro-sama descended from the heavens couldn't be compared to that of a demon's. They couldn't even fight, they simply prostrated themselves before his radiant authority. The Yashiro-sama urged them to go back to hell from whence they came, but the demons wept and challenged him, saying they could never return. The world of the demons, too, was harsh commandments. They claimed that they had been banished from hell.
Demons who didn't have a place to go, either in hell or in the human world. Of course they were at fault for attacking the village. They deeply reflected on it and were sorry.
As the villagers conversed among themselves, little by little they came to pity the demons, and, after talking with everyone in the village, they decided to live alongside them.
A lot of fairy tales have them being exterminated or driven away, but you don't hear often where they lived in peace.
You're right. I think demons are supposed to symbolize all evils. A story where they decide to live together with humans is certainly strange.
Yeah, but it's symbolic in a way, of course.
When the demons first heard of the villagers' invitation, they doubted their ears, but soon burst into tears of joy. The villagers had given them a place to live. It was said that in payment for this good deed, the demons shared their many kinds of power and secrets with the villagers.
Ah.
Oyashiro-sama was very pleased with this happy exchange. He gave the demons the bodies of humans so they would be indistinguishable from the villagers. He himself decided to stay on the surface and watch over the everlasting peace between them. A land in which man, demon, and god live together.
I thought the word demon was a noun meaning evil that needs to be exterminated. A god may have mediated for them. You don't often hear of happy endings where the both sides live in harmony.
I see. I guess it is kind of interesting. Although the normal fairy tale ends here, it was revised quite a bit during the Edo period into a much longer story. After that, the humans and demons intermixed, and eventually there was no difference between them.
So the demons ended up disappearing?
No, not at all. Half of them stayed just as they were.
The knowledge the villagers had received from the demons basically made them into something inhuman, what people call transcendent. They were all aware of the power that they had was heresy, and those below worshipped them. They lived out their lives in secrecy.
This story is the root of many derivative tales and pieces of fiction. It's the foundation, I mean, the basis.
What do you mean by root?
She means the part of about the villagers having demon blood. What I mean is, all the legends from around here are based on the premise that the villagers are descended from demons.
There was a hint of amusement in Shion's face as she said that. It's as she wanted to say she too had demon blood in her. Is there any proof, though? Maybe it's somehow rooted in historical fact, beyond just fairy tales.
Oh? My Barakun, do you believe that demons really did come out of a swamp and breed with humans?
Well, it's not that I don't believe, but... When she said demon, she meant the ones from hell, but... In ancient Japan, the word wasn't necessarily used to denote only that kind, right? The more well-known use involves the drifting foreigner theory. As the story goes, Westerners who were shipwrecked in nearby seas were marked different customs that they were called demons. Bruh! What? This is the first I'm hearing of that. What the heck? I've never heard of that. Japanese people were relatively similar in appearance to other Asians, but everything about those from the West was different. Their physiques, their faces, and their skin color. Japan, terms like red demon and blue demon evoke images especially of Westerners. Dude! This is some freaking Japan history I had no clue of. That's insane. If this is true, I might look it up later to cross-check, but it sounds like it would be true. Lacking in skin pigments, Westerners would sunburn easily and turn red. Being fair-skinned, I think blood vessels appearing on their skin would look blue too. A handful of accidental aliens would drift into Japan and came under persecution, being called demons. They would flee into the mountains to survive, turn into a bandit group, and attack villagers for food and the like. How does that explanation sound? Maybe it's a bit childish. Takano gave me a weird smile when Having come up with such an impromptu hypothesis, I unconsciously followed it up with self-deprecation. Still, she didn't smile as if to make fun of me.
It's not ridiculous. There are lots of people who subscribe to the drifting foreigner theory, even though nobody knows about what happened. They were groups of foreigners who had turned to banditry, or were they really demons who had come from the bottom of the world?
Then, Takano-san, which one do you believe? Truth of the matter aside.
The truth of the matter aside, I'd rather believe it's the more fantastic explanation. It's more fun that way, isn't it?
Her answer made her sound a wee bit like a romanticist. Here I thought she'd reject unrealistic stories like that.
Now then, this is where the fun begins.
Takano? 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 Don't do anything you might regret. Oh god. Takano-san brought to an end to her storytelling and waits for a moment as if to tantalize us. Suddenly Shion turned around, as if something caught her eye. Her head bobbed to and fro like she was making sure nothing had changed. What's wrong, Shion?
I'm sorry. Please don't worry about it.
Shion pretended as though nothing had happened. What are you looking at, Shion? Stop, we're in this freaking spooky village in a spooky warehouse. You can't just do that. Ugh. Takano-san also made sure nothing had happened, then cleared her throat and broached the next subject.
I explained that half of the villagers had demon blood, but that blood, they actually say it's the blood of the kind of demon that eats people.
Man-eating demons? That escalated quickly.
That blood still runs through the villagers' veins. They say that sometimes the blood awakens from its slumber.
I thought the fairy tale had a happy ending with the humans and demons living in peace, but it began to suddenly change into a brutal, bloody story.
Well, they eat people. They said that every decade or so, they can't help but want to feast on human flesh. The villagers can't eat other villagers, so when this happens, it said they descend upon the human villagers and conducted Onigashi. Onigashi, right, yeah. What's in Onigashi? Broadly speaking, it's when a demon kidnaps someone, when a person is demoned away. They say that villagers of Onigashi would overwhelm unfortunate human villages in order to kidnap sacrifices.
Takano's explanation was plain and simple, but when I imagined what it must have been like, it was terrifying. They lose their human reason. The villagers turn into real demons en masse. They attack the villagers they loathe in the dirty world of the masses below, and they kill and eat their sacrifices. So they're no different from demons after all. What did Yashiro-sama do? Wasn't he supposed to be staying in the village watching over them?
Well, Yashiro-san knew about it, of course. Onigashi isn't discriminate. The villagers apparently never kidnapped anyone other than the sacrifices decided upon by their god. In the text, it's usually one or two people. A village inhabited by those human and inhuman. It was like a heartwarming episode's colors had inverted, like negative film, revealing the painful and ugly truth. So on the nights when they raided villages, they would feast on their kidnapped sacrifices, which is why the nights came to be known as Watanagashi.
Watanagashi. Tonight's festival was Watanagashi. Just couldn't reconcile the fun festival with the horrible tale Takano-san was telling me.
Watanagashi,
well, wasn't it about giving thanks to the futons we use over the winter or something?
Kei-chan,
Wata has another meaning, you know?
Means entrails.
Oh god. That's so interesting. Freaking words have multiple meanings. That's wild. Shion, who had been silent until now, spoke up. Entrails? Oh yeah, I guess that's true. Like fish guts. Wait, what? Like a jigsaw puzzle, the fun times I had today and Takano-san's grotesque tale clicked together in my head. Oh god. Watanagashi, so gut spilling. I didn't think that saying could ever feel so nauseating.
Yes, it's as you imagine, my Barakun. Right now, the Watanagashi Festival might just be somewhat early summer festival occurring every June, but it used to be different. It used to be a ghastly, cannibalistic fest, held on the night the villagers had collected their unfortunate dinner.
That can't be true. I had no real reason to say that, but I couldn't help it.
My Barakun, you said that Watanagashi is a ritual about purifying futons, right? What do you think the futons filled with cotton with wata represent?
Ah! That's even worse. Oh god. Futons are futons! They're beds! They're things for sleeping in! What else could they possibly represent? Keiichi, I know you don't want to accept it, but I was rattling on, desperately attempting to deny the horrible festival that Takano-san was describing. Deep down, however, I found myself understanding all too well what she meant. Futons, stuffed with cotton. Cotton represented entrails in both pronunciations and meaning, and entrail-filled futons would have to be humans.
Why don't you think back to the offertory dance Rika-chan performed? Do you know what she was doing up there?
No, I don't. I didn't even watch the whole thing anyway.
Shh. Kei-chan, you're getting too worked up.
Oh god, shut up! Shion! I'm freaking out here! Shion grabbed one of my ears, reminding me that this wasn't somewhere I should raise my voice. Even so, I still can't surpass this agitation I feel.
Rika-chan was carrying a festival hoe. You probably realize it already, but that's not a hoe for plowing fields. It's a tool for dissecting human bodies.
I didn't see the dance all the way through, so I don't know what kind of performance Rika-chan was putting on after I'd left. I told this to Takano-san. She kindly explained Rika-chan's dance to me. To summarize what she said, after what I'd seen, Rika-chan would pierce the futons with that hoe, cut them open, and pull out the cotton inside. She cut the cotton out one bit at a time and set it afloat. This kind of ritual it was.
Broadly speaking, it was quite a bombastic ceremony where they rip out the guts and throw them into the basin. Then the ritual was over. It's thought that afterwards the villagers, each with a different role, dismantled the flesh piece by piece and feasted upon it.
Yeah, hee, right? At Takano-san's strangely happy giggle, I felt, for some reason, violent displeasure. Rika-chan, every day during a lunch break, she'd take a rice-pounding mallet into the schoolyard. She'd be working so hard, sweating bullets to practice for the offertory dance she had done today. For all that effort, all that work, Takano-san disgraced it. Even though she worked so hard to practice for today. I think she's right, though. I mean...
Takano-san, I think you should choose your words more carefully. Kei-chan's pretty naive, so please don't tease him too much.
The moment before I opened my mouth to express how angry I was, Shion stopped me. She must have been fully aware about how the story made me feel.
I'm sorry. I thought you would like a story with sort of shock value, since you're a boy.
Ugh. Takano-san spoke without a hint of malice as she smiled gracefully. After hearing all that, did you figure out what kind of stuff in the storehouse, Kei-chan? See, look. Shion pointed out one of the walls vaguely illuminated by the lantern's light. There was, mere moments ago, they hadn't held my interest. They were just boring-looking tools lined up on the shelves. Ugh. All those uninteresting tools I didn't understand how to use all suddenly took on a new meaning. I couldn't help but let out a groan. First, they looked like carpentry tools like chisels or planes. However, when I thought back, I'd seen pictures of these sort of tools before. Yeah, they came up in a Japanese history textbook. Yes. On the page introducing Kaitai Shinsho, or the new text on anatomy. These sort of things, they're printed realistically on literature of Germany, capital in the medical world. These aren't carpentry tools. These strangely shaped tools, they're for dissection. Everyone knows that in the Edo period they would dissect corpses, or those who had been put to death in order to gain knowledge about Western medical techniques. Illustrations of dissection tools they used at the time came up in textbook supplements. The things hung up on this wall all looked exactly the same as those.
If you want a scarier way of looking at it, think of them as cooking utensils.
Okay, good, great, Takano-san. Did I ask? Takano-san holding the lantern, the only light source in the room, less along the wall. She had only one light, so I walked up behind her whether I liked it or not.
Look!
Takano-san illuminated a coiled chain, which left a bigger impression than the other things we saw. The chain itself was nothing unusual, but further along were metal fetters that were like hinges, clearly meant for binding people.
Kei-chan, look at that!
She tapped me on the shoulder and pointed to a restraining table that was clearly shaped like a person. My spine froze, my blood felt like it was turning to a sherbet as it crawled up my back. Whenever they describe stuff, I can't help but feel it, you know? On each of the joints, there were things like chains and iron balls attached. It's like the table was searching for its next sacrifice, ready to spread their arms wide and close them in.
It's probably a chopping block. I think you'd strap a sacrifice down to prep them for eating.
The words chopping block sent a jolt through my body. When I looked more closely, there were many dark slices carved into it, as though from a knife or a saw. There were most clear-cut signs of usage you could ask for. They proved those tools weren't for show. They were used for their original purpose. If someone was strapped tightly onto this table, probably won't be able to move even a muscle. Their guts would be defenseless. You take one of those eerie-looking cutting knives lined up there, stab them with it, you slice open their belly and dissect them.
I heard the stories.
Wait, yeah, she's saying that, right? Right.
I heard the stories, but this is incredible.
Before coming in here, Shion had mentioned she had a good guess of what was inside, but it seemed to have exceeded her imagination. Okay, that was Shion talking.
There's still more. How about it? More fascinating than a wax museum, isn't it?
Takano-san had this happy expression like she was visiting a toy store for the first time. I don't get it. This Mio Takano person has nerves of steel. Are these bizarre, grotesque objects were fascinating to her? I, for one, was not enjoying myself. I'll be frank. This was all too weird for me. Still, there's even more horrifying than all this. That would be none other than Takano-san herself. Takano-san holding the lantern giving off a thin beam of light. If she suddenly turned it off, then what would I do when next moment everything went totally dark? That's why I was scared. Takano-san had the only light. Anyway, I was scared. At some point, Shion had started holding onto my shirt sleeve. It's a little annoying to walk like that, but I didn't shake her off. That minor sensation allowed me to feel presence of an ally here and now. God, I freaking love Shion so much. Oh my god. She's so good. She's a lot more understanding than Mion is, I feel like. And her teases are a lot more tasteful, I think. Before we even walked halfway through the storehouse, the air I felt on my skin changed completely. These cruel tools lined up, all crammed together in this place. Somehow horrible ones made to take away sacrifices' freedom, and some were tools made to efficiently disassemble and prepare bodies for consumption. Those were just the things I understood. There were plenty of other strange-looking objects I couldn't even guess the purpose of. Now that I was here, I didn't have the slightest desire to hear the details, but what sort of terrifying reasons they were meant to be used for. At the very least, they were all completely different from the sort of clean, simple killing function of a katana. Tools to kill people were, obviously, constructed in such a way that they could kill people. You like Mion more? Not based, Dirk. Not based. If that was the goal, then the person you'd use them on would, obviously, end up dead. The kinds of tools here, however, were different. Tools that were here were for cutting people, for crushing them, for boiling them and cooking them. Mion has a gun. Oh my god. And for grinding them. They were tools of torture, and were made to kill people. People dying was just an incidental result. Actually, they might not even kill them. The sacrifices could die during a horrifying ritual process. That would be nice, but they don't even die in the end. They remain in a state of hellish pain. Perhaps they were only being allowed to live. Only now in this moment did I fully realize just how terrifying and fearsome that difference was.
People, you see, most of these wouldn't kill them if used properly.
Takano-san, as if reading my mind, displayed a shocking smile.
Burning at the stake, the famous method of execution for witches, will kill the person immediately. When the body suffers extreme burns on the skin all over, the decomposition of the skin's chemicals makeup processes produces poison-like symptoms, causes an immense shock to the victim. Though I suppose it's still very cruel compared to the guillotine. You have to wait far longer for that to happen. She described such horrors in a strangely medical way. She would immediately answer the question I had. Takano-san is a nurse. There's a saying that nothing can scare a doctor. I guess that's true. Oh, and also, seems to be a method of execution in ancient Rome that they would grill the person. Just like barbecue. They would cover the person in netting wire and slowly cook them over a charcoal fire.
Yep. I think the memories of when I went to a day camp with my family would all come rushing back now. Of all times, so vividly.
That's what it was like. Apparently, they wouldn't die too easily for some reason. According to one source, even if they roasted one person to a crisp for an entire night, they'll still be conscious and able to speak fluently.
That's insane. You grill someone the whole day and they'd still be conscious. It's said that in ancient Rome, famous for executions, thought of plenty ways to execute someone while having the victim stay alive as long as possible.
Among them, there is one method where they would open the gut, pull out the intestines like sausages, pull them up on a winch, and put them on public display.
I actually know about that one. I know about that one. I like my grilled people medium rare. Oh no, I like mine raw. Shion was behind me, clinging to me. Not just because she was scared, she was protecting her stomach. You would think someone with their intestines pulled out would die instantly, right? Actually, as long as you do it tenderly and thoroughly, it's entirely possible to pull them all out while the person is still conscious. I felt a sick feeling in my stomach. It was like my organs were coiling up just from Takano-san's stare. Though pulling them out with a winch is a rather exaggerated method, it's a more barbaric way. You might slice open the guts and then cut the intestines out and throw them everywhere. It's quite imaginable that they did dreadful things like that too, isn't it? However, those being put to death are conscious. It must be far more terrifying than painful. She spoke with pleasure, as if she'd come here on a sightseeing trip. Heard Shion gulp multiple times near my ears. Perhaps Hinamizawa, or rather Onigachi Village, did something like that for the Watanagashi Festival. Listen, if you try hard, can't you hear it? I wanted nothing more than to not hear anything at all. God. So why only times like this do I begin to hear things I shouldn't be able to? You know, we don't even get to see this type of torture in Higurashi. That's sad. It would be interesting. But... Takano-san, having realized she'd scared Shion and I enough to this point, smiled soothingly. Then she turned on her heel, raised the lantern, and began to walk again. Damn, that was what I was looking forward to. I know. If Takano-san left us here, we'd get even further away from the light. Shion and I, no matter how scared we were forced to follow Takano-san along the field trip through the ritual storehouse. Is Sotsu the Answer arc, or is Sotsu completely different visual novel? Or is it anime only? I'm not really sure. I know Sotsu got an anime, but I don't know if it's exclusive anime only. Here we go. I suppose we've seen a bit of everything. See? The place is interesting, isn't it? She says, raising the lantern high in the center of the storehouse. Dim light didn't change, but for some reason it felt like I was able to see all of those horrible tools at once. Kei-chan, look up. Shion stammered while grabbing the nape of my neck. Ugh. I couldn't tell because it was so dark. There were a lot more tools hanging from the ceiling as well. They all looked like they were made of iron bars, but then I figured it out. Cages. For cages, they were very small. Cramped cages just for one, like a casket. So maybe it was wrong on all of our guesses. Hey, I guess they could be an anime only. Got locked up inside there. No, you wouldn't get locked up inside it. It was another tool meant for restraining people, where the iron bars would squeeze you tightly. So many, big and large. Things of all shapes were hanging down. Takano-san's mention of execution by grilling crosses my mind. We weren't just surrounded by all sides, by these terrifying instruments. Things crowding the ceiling, were even hanging over our heads. I see. Okay. There are many of these sorts of bird cages among European torture devices. I'm surprised to see them in Japan as well. Kei-chan, is there something in there? A person? A mummy? Oh, where? Shion desperately pointed to one of the many human-sized bird cages hanging from the ceiling, but I couldn't tell which one she meant. Being that dark, there wasn't any way you could tell if something was in there in the first place. I don't see anything. You sure you're not seeing things? Oh my god. Shion didn't seem convinced, but thought a means to confirm ourselves. Couldn't do much to wonder. My Abara-kun, after seeing this, have you come to believe it all? The countless terrible rituals passed down from Hinamizawa? Nothing to do with believing in them. Now that I've been shown the real thing like this, there's no possible way to deny it. We take term answer arc too seriously. I'd say that's alright. Even the nations of Europe with all their beautiful landscapes and legends were like a maelstrom during the terrible witch hunts in the Dark Ages. It's well known that the era gave birth to countless gruesome forms of torture and its execution. Japan was the same way. Didn't it have its own air of hellscape-like torturous feats because of religious suppression and things of that nature? Hinamizawa itself had such a period. It had so much history behind it. Even in Europe, the land of the witch hunts, that was all far in the past, no more than a series of historical events. In this age, nothing that abnormal would ever happen. That must apply to Hinamizawa as well.
Just as Europe had its dark age, Himizawa has one too. That's how this should be taken. Even if these things really happened in Himizawa, they're all long past. They don't have anything to do with the people living in Himizawa right now.
Or else? Or unless?
My Barakun, you really do like this village. It didn't sound like she was making fun of me. Takano-san gave a light smile. Takano-san, you're researching whether those customs survived into the present. You are, right?
Shion suggested something that made my heart leap into my throat. You telling me that all these horrible things are still going on even today? Yep.
What I'm about to tell you is a secret, alright? I told you, Shion-chan, but you're an understanding person. But all the other villagers don't want to hear it. If things go awry, I could be ganged up on and punished.
Shion flashed a devilish smile as if reveling in the immortality of it.
My Barakun, you keep it a secret too, okay? If things get out, I could suffer Yashida-sama's wrath, curse, or be made into a sacrifice. If it's the curse, then I wonder what kind of death it'll be this year. If it's a sacrifice, then I will be thrown into the Onigachi swamp, while still alive. It is tonight, you know. The night of the Yashida-sama's curse.
Takano-san said, bringing her face right close up to ours. As if to say she had a choice, she'd rather suffer this curse. That's what she seemed to be implying. Takano-san took a fairly worn-out notebook out of her paper bag and then began to flip through its pages. There were all sorts of references and newspaper clippings attached to them, and it had all manner of things written inside. The letters were very small and bunched up together, so I couldn't tell at a glance what it was about.
What I really do like about... What I'd really like to do is search through the National Library for newspapers from the era, but... Here it is.
A photocopy of a page from a book slid into the notebook. And it, too, was written in small, tight lettering. Like other pages, I couldn't really tell what it was just by glancing at it.
This is a story that actually happened. It was around the end of the Meiji era. I discovered an unknown mangled corpse in the victim of a murder in Onigachi Village. An old newspaper clipping attached to the page spoke about something that was no mere rumor or fairy tale. We don't have most police documents from the times anymore, so it's all based on oral traditions and memories. See, it's not very clear. It looks like a cutout of a newspaper from the Meiji era.
Never before has there been a corpse treated with such cruelty and inhumanity. Could it be the work of a demon? Being a copy of a copy, it was very hard to make out, but it was more than enough to make me feel strangely tense. Yeah. Near the end of the Meiji era, in old Onigachi Village, a mangled corpse was discovered. The identity of the corpse was unknown. It wasn't even in a state where it could be identified in the first place. Did we get our first ghost? I doubt it. Ghosts don't heckin' exist in this world, I'll say. In the world of Higurashi, I think my favorite thing is that I don't think ghosts actually exist. I think it all just is from people doing these things, you know? It was missing a head, each limb was separated from the body. Skin had been peeled off the entire body, and there were markings that implied terrible torture in every place imaginable. Not only that, but the belly had been cut open by a sharp knife with its entrails completely dragged out. The police immediately began an investigation. Since they couldn't determine the identity of the victim, much less the criminal, finding answers was extremely difficult.
Do you understand what it must have been like? I couldn't imagine such a strange sight, even if I tried. This was the first time I ever thankful for my lack of imagination.
Yeah, good thing I have a great imagination.
The victim was skinned while still alive, underwent all kinds of torture, and was killed brutally. The author here also thinks that even after death the remains were divided and dissected even further, the epitome of inhumanity. I'm of the opinion that the entire process was performed while the person was still alive, though. What do you think, my Barakun? She spoke in a way intended to make me imagine even more vicious things. My brain was already far over capacity, however. There's no way I could imagine anything more brutal. Then, when I broke my gaze from Takano-san's, all the strangely weird tools were all around us. I wonder if you could faithfully reproduce a mutilated corpse discovered at the end of Meiji era with all the tools found in this place. I want to deny it. I don't want to admit that something so terrible could have happened at all. Even so, we're so strange, so terrifying, these tools. And if they had been seen through my attempt to escape from them, they did nothing but ridicule me silently. So, that creepy incident, what was it, in the end? The author says that regarding Onigachi Village's dreadful customs, they survived into recent post-Meiji days. Perhaps they lasted
around the beginning of the Showa period. This corpse, which at a glance had been brutally killed after a period of torture. In actuality, however, it was the pitiful sacrifice remains of the man-eater's terrifying feast. I don't know much about Japanese eras, but I think Showa and Heiji are the 1900s, maybe? 1800, 1900, I think? I'm not 100%. The corpse was just leftovers. So it was so fantastic, so strange that it didn't feel real. Was this an extension of the legends too? It happened in the Meiji era, though, which is too recent to be called a legend. Yeah, I think it is 1800, 1900. Also, there's a newspaper clipping right here suggesting it. Okay, even if it really happened, it was a long time ago, right? I mean, Meiji era ended 100 years ago. 100. So, Meiji ended 1850s-ish, and Showa, yeah. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. That's all, only 100 years ago. Besides, kept happening even after the beginning of the Showa period. Like with the uproar around the post-war canned flesh incident. Oh, I apologize. You can't just say things like that. Oh my god. The post-war canned flesh incident. Bruh. The story was taboo, wasn't it? Takano-san immediately stopped talking, as if worried about Shion. Shion briefly looked somewhat angry, but the expression soon disappeared. Really? Even Shion got angry. Huh? Takano-san, what did you just say? Canned flesh? Okay. Oh god. Just then, there was a huge creaking noise. Everyone whipped around to look. Oh my god, Tomitake. Weird, Meiji was 1868, 1912. Yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense, I guess. I don't know much how eras work. It's Tomitake-san who had opened the door slightly. Did I startle you? Oh, Jiro-san, can you not resist seeing inside? It's a splendid treasure trove of torture devices. I'll pass on that. I'm bad with this sort of thing by nature. Takano-san held her stomach that had to muffle her laughter if she wanted to make a comment about his masculinity. God. In any case, the dance and ceremony are over and everybody's going down to the stream. The festival will be over within minutes. Oh, that's no good. My Barakun is just such a good listener, I couldn't help telling stories. I'd rather you not mention me in a place like this. Taisho. All you guys. Jiro-san, could you wait out front? I want to take a few pictures. There are actually a lot of tools I'd like to bring home, but we obviously can't do that. Obviously. Takano-san took a camera out of her paper bag and began to snap photographs. She looked like she was having fun, like she was on a scavenger hunt. Keiji-kun, are you leaving too? I've seen enough. Shion, you're good too, right? Let's get out of here. I want some fresh air. I agree. Let's leave. I feel a bit of hesitation leaving Takano-san by herself in this darkness. But when I thought about it, though, I realized that whatever kinds of evil spirits and ghosts leaked in the darkness, none of them could hold a candle to how scary she was. Oh my god. And then the Takano-san literally, oh, I want to take them home. Even if the phantasm were to appear, she'd be overjoyed and flash her camera at it. It seemed like Shion shared my somewhat rude mental images. We exchanged glances and smiled painfully. We left Takano-san there, bathed in her strobe of camera flashes, and decided to leave the ritual storehouse. Everyone at the festival seemed to have gone to the stream, so the voices were very distant. The voices of the bugs, on the other hand, were clear, leaving an empty feeling of isolation to the place. Interesting choice of music. Phantasm? Fate reference? Shut up. Shut up. A noble one, perhaps? Shut up. All of you guys. Oh my god. I'm going to take... Oh, heck. Dang it. I'm going to take a small break and get some water, because, oh my god, my voice feels like it's dying right now. So I'll be back in like 2 minutes. You guys can look at beautiful Tomitake and relish in his aliveness for the moment. I'll be back. I'll be back. Oh heck. Oh, here I come! Here I come! I'm back. And with water. So now hopefully my voice will sound a little better and feel a little better. Alright. What did we miss? I think I accidentally skipped something. Yeah, okay. How was it? Interesting? Tomotaki-san gave us a somewhat mischievous grin. You may have been tell by looking at how pale our faces were. I should have kept watch outside with you, Tomotaki-san. Tomoe-san laughed so delightfully that it wiped away our dark feelings. How'd you fare, Shion-chan? Were you scared? I was prepared for it, so I wasn't too afraid, but seeing the real thing was powerful. Shion spoke like she wasn't scared at all. She'd really been quite afraid, seeing as how I was in a way worse state than her. I didn't have much room to talk. Tomotaki-san grinned candidly. My mind, exhausted and locked up by nervousness, began to calm itself. Was Takano-san an adult about this little expedition? You know, she seems like a child sometimes. So worried she'd be way too excited. Both Shion and I laughed and left that as our answer. Hopefully she was only looking at things. I'm worried she'll sneak something out of there or mess with the ritual implement too much and break it or something. Right, that's quite possible. She is alone in there right now. She might pilfer something small, easily concealed, hiding in her pocket. Yeah, I can see that. Shin said what I was thinking. You sure she didn't break anything? I could hear some noises, like someone jumping up and down. I was getting pretty nervous. I'm sorry, I ran out of film. Jiro-san, if you have any more, could I use some? Takano-san suddenly appeared while we were talking about her, taking everyone by surprise. Tomotaki-san smoothly grinned and responded as if nothing happened. It's pretty mature. Madao's spare film. Sorry about that. Jeez, you won't win any Pulitzers or prizes by not stocking enough film for any occasion, you know? Suppose that's it then. Tomotaki-san scratched his head apologetically. Without film, we were done here. Takano-san seemed to have given up because of that too. Checked carefully to make sure we hadn't left anything inside, then closed the door, turned the heavy padlock we'd left beside it. Takano-san, you didn't sneak anything out, right? How rude. I'm trying not to be that childish. Click. Tomotaki-san set the padlock back the way it was before. From a cursory glance, it didn't look like thieves had snuck in at all. Okay, let's get over to the stream ourselves. If we don't at least get some cotton afloat, there won't be any point in coming to the festival. Tomotaki-san spoke brightly, urging us all on, setting cotton afloat down the stream. Shaking my head a few times, driving away my dismal thoughts as to the double meeting. Takano-san, looking a bit let down, kept turning back to the glance at the ritual storehouse. Well, let's just leave it at that, alright? You saw enough to sate your curiosity, didn't you? Oh, not at all. Everything I found only renewed my interest. All those stories and legends suddenly holding water. After today, I'm going to have to change the way I look at all this. Wow, she truly is indomitable. Her curiosity really is something else. Still interested in all this through and through. Dude, I'd be so far heckin' away from that place. We descended the stone stairs, and all the people crowding the stream came into view. Mio was not gonna be happy. Oyashiro-sama was definitely gonna tell someone about what we did. Near the bottom of the stairs, we could clearly see people retrieving cotton that had been cut out for them, and then wishing upon the cotton and setting it afloat down the stream. The festival was already over. Damn, I missed my chance to photograph the best part of Watanagashi. Oh, but it's not too late. I'm gonna go and set some afloat. Perhaps you could take pictures of me? Takano-san, with an impish expression, brought her head to Tomotaki-san's shoulder. Despite his age, he looked embarrassed. Felt an honest respect for Tomotaki-san, a man to man, for dating such a handful of a woman. Goodbye then, Mayabara-kun. Shion-chan? We're going down to the stream. Would you like to come with us? No, I couldn't get in your way. Please, take your time. Shion waved her hand at them with an expression just as impish as Takano-san's. Tomotaki-san, on his part, wanted us to come, but, however, Shion gave such a big stretch and sat down on the stone steps. I'm pretty worn out. Same here. I'm exhausted, too. Kei-chan, this is your first Watanagashi, isn't it? You go on. Don't mind me. I'm tired, so I'd like to step away from the crowd. Yeah, if we were gonna go now, we'd barely slip into the end of Cotton Drifty ceremony. My sister and your other friends might be looking for you too. Go on. Oh, yeah, right. They've been by themselves ever since we got separated. Feel bad if they were looking for me. Then Shion suddenly got a playful look on her face and put an index finger to her lips as if telling me to keep this a secret. My sister's the type to get really jealous. If she knew I was hugging you this whole time, she'd never let me hear the end of it, so keep tonight a secret, okay? Keep tonight a secret. God. Keiichi is so horrible at keeping secrets in the first place. Don't say things that are so embarrassing. Not only because of that either. Considering what we're doing tonight, we really need to keep it a secret. While Yashida-sama's curse might happen tonight, where we four would be the prime candidates. Losing threads of tension become taut again. Oh, God. Yeah, there's no end quotes. Whatever. Losing threads of tension became taut again. Shion, however, burst out laughing. Alright, I'm gonna go get out of here before I run into my sister. Really am tired, so I don't have the endurance to put up with her anyway. Can't tell if you get along with her or not. We get along. Though she said that, her vague expression explained that there were a lot of oddities in the relationship between twins. I'm an only child, so I don't really get it. Make sure you get along with her, okay? Right. Thank you kindly for your meddling. Okay, I'm gonna go. You should hurry up if you want to make it, Kei-chan. Watanagashi really is about to end. Shion stood up and brushed the dust off her backside. After watching her do so, I returned my eyes to the final ceremony of the Watanagashi Festival below me. Seriously, though, what was that sound, anyway? It's kind of unpleasant and creepy. What sound? The one you heard in the warehouse that we didn't hear? Huh? What sound? The sound. Shut up. What sound? You heckin' stupid? Explain. You know, the banging noise. It was really loud, wasn't it? I was giving her a blank expression, so Shion stared hard at me. I stared hard at her too. Sorry, Shion. Could you give me the short version? What was making noise? Wait, Kei-chan? It didn't bother you? When all said and done, it's like we were speaking two different languages. Shion, explain it to me, without jokes, from the beginning, will you? What's this about a noise? Kei-chan, you quit joking around too. Really, honestly, it didn't bother you, did it? Neither of us was giving any ground, and both of us were staring at each other in disbelief. We were answering questions with more questions, with no sign of actual conversation in sight. Baffled, I held the urge to shout at her, and politely asked one more time. I'm going to ask one more time, okay? I'll ask the questions. Shion nodded silently. Okay, here goes. You said there was a sound. What are you talking about? The banging sound. It was like a kid was jumping up and down on the floorboard somewhere far away. It really didn't bother you? There's nothing to be bothered by. When did you hear this? Never heard anything. Wait, Kei-chan, are you serious? Shion, as if she didn't understand my plain and simple answer, pressed me further, her expression serious. I have no clue what she's talking about. If Shion was acting like this, whatever it was, it gave me the creeps and sent a chill down my spine. It was a while we were looking around inside the ritual storehouse of Takano-san. About the time she started her stories, I think it was. Little by little, louder and louder, off and on. She heard a banging sound like a child jumping on distant floorboards? That can't be true. Don't start trying to scare me after all that. I didn't hear anything at all. In fact, it was so utterly silent in there that my own heartbeat was almost deafening. Please don't try to scare me either, Kei-chan. It was something like making noise in time with Takano-san's scary stories. I was totally creeped out the whole time. A chill rose from my spine to the back of my head. My blood turned cold as it crawled up my body. When it reached my head, my mind froze over. You and Takano-san weren't paying any attention to it, so I pretend not to hear it either, but you heard it, right? It happened a bunch of times, and it was really loud. Shion's eyes were begging me to tell her I heard it. I had no doubt, however, that my own eyes suggested something entirely different. You've got to be kidding me look. In that storehouse, we were surrounded by brutal ritual tools that looked like they were stories from another planet, listening to terrifying old stories. Ugh, the whole time, Shion had been hearing a sound that we couldn't hear by herself. Should that make Shion who heard it tremble, or would it make me who didn't heard it tremble? I didn't know the answer to that at the time. For now, Shion seemed to have made that decision before I did. What are you laughing about? I really got you, Kei-chan. Oh, Shion. No. Shion, now is not that time. Now is not that time, Shion. I think she's just covering for herself. I was fibbing the whole time. What? Shion laughed, saying how easily scared I was, and clapped me on the back. The smile seemed somehow artificial, and actually made me feel worse. Then, after leaving with 2 or 3 generic diplomatic goodbye phrases, she left, almost like she was running away. Yeah, I think she actually heard something, and just, joked to cover for it. All I could do was look after her, my mouth agape. At the end of the day, I didn't have a clue what was going on. Shion laughed it off and said she had been lying, but she couldn't possibly have been lying. Of course not. Now I think back, Tomotaki-san said the same thing, didn't he? Yeah! I could clearly hear some noises like someone jumping up and down. I was getting pretty nervous. Tomotaki-san, the most neutral party present at the time, said he had heard something. Then that noise, it was real. The banging sounds. Sounds as though a child was jumping up and down on some kind of floorboards far away. Yashio-sama's curse, which happens every year, might happen again tonight. The most plausible victim dictates were Takano-san, Tomotaki-san, Shion, and me. The bustling of the people sounded further away than I would have liked, and the sounds of insects sounded too close to her comfort. I'm near so much human warmth, and yet I can't ever go back there again. That was the ominous idea that sprouted in my mind. Then, all of a sudden, I was pounced on from behind, causing my heart to lurch.
Eiichi, we found you!
It was Rika-chan. When I turned around, Mio and Rena were there too. Mio sighed and said, "We finally found you. Now we just need to find Satoko."
Everyone got split up this year. We should make sure we have somewhere to meet up afterwards next year. Oh.
You're right. It's a festival, so we should all be together. I listened to Mion's happy declaration with a little bit of guilt.
Keiichi, did you root for me while I was dancing?
Oh yeah, we rooted for you. Rooted for you by finding out all of your dark secrets. Yeah, I saw it all. You did a great job all the way through. No mistakes either. I remember this. She actually did make a mistake.
Yeah, that's right, Rika-chan. That didn't count as a mistake.
Just up as I realized I made a mistake of my own. Slapped a hand on my shoulder a little roughly. Gross sweat broke out of my whole body. Did you do it too, Kei-chan? Did you get some cotton and send it down the stream? You haven't yet, right? That's what I could feel her saying. Without the courage to tell any more lies, I lifelessly shook my head.
Huh? You haven't, Keiichi-kun? Should go now or it'll be over. It'll be over.
Sorry, this is my first Watanagashi, so I don't really understand the rules and stuff. That's alright, I'm sorry. You took my hand and we started walking down the stone steps. Yeah, you gotta freaking do this or you'll die, right? Hey, Kei-chan. Don't press me, okay? Do not press me. I know what you're going to do. What? Did you see Shion? Great. Let's see. Should we lie about this or tell the truth? Like, we could say that we were with Shion. No, we can't, because Shion... Who else would we be with, though? Like, who else? We have no cover story. Or it skipped another beat. Maybe Mio could sense my surprise through my hand. No? Oh, well, I sort of think I saw her. To look so alike, though, so it might have been you. You wouldn't have gotten that wrong. We're wearing different clothes. Oh, God. Oh, that's right. Mion's momentary silence was like a death grip upon me. I just can't do anything about that Shion. Well, it's her we're talking about, so we could just leave her be. Mion's expression returned to her former usual smile, and we continued down the stone steps, her firmly putting my hand along. She could just assume that she convinced us to lie, right? And that we're not lying ourselves, right? Oh? Yeah, I guess that's it. That is the longest hecking part so far. Jesus Christ. Almost hecking 2 hours. I don't know if we can go for another one. Usually I like to get 2 in, but from scrapbook 4, 5 after the festival. How's everyone doing? You think we should go for more? Because I don't, you can never tell how freaking long these things are gonna be till we get to another breakpoint. So, I'll let you guys decide, huh? If you think it's good for another one or not. I mean, I'm alright for another one. Mostly because I'm very anxious to get to the spooks. But, but, well, I drink water. Ah. Alright. I'll just save here anyway. Because why not? Still don't understand why there's so many hecking files when there's no decisions in the first place. Let's do another one? Nice! I want the spooky! Yeah, we're both anxious for it then, huh? Okay. Let's, start with the tips then and continue on. Hello, Hex! Watanagashi. The rite of Watanagashi is performed during a village festival every June, even now. But reading back to its true origins, turn up a suspiciously sanguine ceremony. Originally, Watanagashi would have been at fixed intervals. After receiving Oyashiro-sama's trust, they chose sacrifice. Then the entire village would kidnap a demon away, the person, and ceremonially dissect and devour them in a feast. The rules that determine the intervals are shrouded in mystery. This is because the ceremonies occurred extremely irregularly. There's a theory that it was determined based on astrological fortune-telling, but it isn't too convincing. HEWWO. The residents of ancient Onigachi Village firmly believed that they were half-man, half-demon transcendents. They were more valuable than humans were, and they forced people within and without that to accept that. Perhaps the act of kidnapping and eating people was done to prove that they were higher up on the food chain. This is just a hypothesis, but maybe the rite of Watanagashi was a political event for the purpose of either being an outlet for, or outright diverting the attention of, the villagers of the isolated Onigachi Village. Hey, what up? Right. In any case, if their complaints or distractions grew serious, if that was the main reason these ceremonies were held, then it's easy to explain how erratic they were. Yeah. Okay, good. The tips aren't too long. From the scrapbook, number 5. Oh, whoa. The alleged importance of the implements. Can't find anything that gives me a concrete description on what the ritual implements were like. They were, however, real and definitely existed in multitude of different kinds. One source states that the implements used in Watanagashi rite alone numbered in 200. The obvious question then is why they required such a myriad of them. The rite of Watanagashi was to kidnap people through the demoning away, dissect them, and eat them. I believe that the tools were for dissection and restraining, but 200 of them is far too many. Generally, tools evolve in a way as to reach a solution for a certain problem. Once you've reached the ultimate goal, that is, attained a certain level of efficiency, the tool's evolution normally stops there. Regardless, why would they have created so many different kinds? One of the cultural elements responsible for diversification over time is that of entertainment. Tools for entertainment would evolve over time and branch out. Unlike normal tools, reaching the ultimate goal would be more of a dead end, and in searching for the next goal, they would split into many different subtypes. So then, perhaps it's not a stretch to suggest that these 200 plus intimates had some kind of entertainment value. This is just a hypothesis, of course, but maybe the human dissection process was viewed as a type of entertainment. 3 families of old would develop new implements, dissection tool, after another, and each was varied, novel, and attracted spectators to keep them from growing bored. It's not unimaginable. All of them have to be enshrined within that storehouse. There isn't much longer until the night of Watanagashi. Though its original intent has been lost, I will reveal the secrets of the traditional ceremonial night within the ritual storehouse. Can't restrain my excitement. Watanagashi cannot come soon enough. Yeah, and then she's gonna heckin' die, almost. After the festival. The morning of? The morning after? Late that night. Oh, okay. Tensions in the police station were strained. Oh, heck, hold on. Freaking... It's Halloween. I recommend you to play Convenience Store. I've heard of that game. And I've seen Markiplier play it. Though, I probably won't play it myself. I don't do well with, like, actual, like, visually scary games. I do very horribly with those. So, probably not. Wait, convenience. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking of, right? I don't know. Yeah. In silence, many of the staff members' eyes shifted back and forth between the clock and their telephones, counting the seconds that stifled atmosphere. Kamagaya-kun burst in with a young guy trailing behind him. Oji-san, I've got the autopsy results. Court physician just got here. I'm ready to go, sir. I'll head straight for Gifu. Guma-chan, things have gotten a bit complicated. They appear to be having a very difficult time determining who the victim is. They have been dismembered? Nope. Cooked to a nice light brown. Oh, great. Spoken in supportive tones, but the meaning behind his words were heavy. Staff gave a collective sigh. Would you consider playing FNAF? No. Just straight up, no way. No way at all. Maybe if someone freaking donates $100, I'll play FNAF. FNAF is a thing that I will literally die from, probably. Yeah. So, you know, $100 I might do it. I'll do it, but no. Not casually. Not at all. All the way, head to toe? Completely blackened, it seems. Probably smells terrible, too. What a shame it is to be Gifu-san. Cooked, no possessions. Gifu? So is that someone completely unrelated? Gifu? Who? Then discarded outside the prefecture. At worst, it could have taken a week for the body to be identified. The fact that they sniffed it out tonight was huge. Komiyama-kun and a few others are performing through the night raid on the dentist in Okinomiya. All we can do is hope tooth matches with some medical records. Sorry, can someone go buy me 2 or so boxes of Ultra Mild? The young guy answered in information and darted out into the hallway. We did an excellent job finding it this year. Could be that the people who disappeared in past years were scattered outside the prefecture like this too. Then why not bury them, or sink them to the Sea of Japan, or Lake Biwa, or somewhere like that? Why though? Hasn't the pattern so far been one person dies and another disappears? Guma-chan, the corpse was inside an oil drum, unrestrained and cooked. Probably burned them after strangling them. They knew it would be found. So what you mean is, from the beginning, they didn't want a person to disappear this year? Not so much they aren't related. The person didn't disappear. In fact, whoever did it seemed to have wanted to make a show of it. You mean it could be a warning? Folded his arms and heaved a long and heavy sigh. That might have been the case if it happened in town. They messed it up. Taking victim far away, burning them alive wouldn't have been noticed. They meant it as a warning. They should have done it closer to Hinamizawa. They wanted to emphasize the fact that they killed the victim, but doing it somewhere for dramatic effect, they did it outside the prefecture. Did they want to emphasize it or hide it? Boy, do I wonder what Yashiro-sama is up to this year. Well, they haven't identified the body, but why did they say poor Gifu then? Maybe he's just someone of the medical or police department. Telephone ring cut through the heavy silence. A staff member nearby snatched up the receiver. Oji-san, it's Komiyama. They have it. The dental clinic in Okinomiya fixed the wisdom tooth 3 years ago. What about the records? Complete with the x-rays. Well, I feel bad for waking up the dentist before dawn. Kuba-chan, get out there as soon as you get the records from Komiyama-kun. Will do. Oh, it's the chief. Thank you for coming out this hour. Oji-san, my apologies for my lateness. What's the situation? What's dying? Someone? Someone died. We don't know who yet. But, well, it's just getting good, you see. We're all getting fired up. Woo! Yeah, woo. Dead body. Yeah! Oh, great. They're not gonna tell us. They're gonna leave it in anticipation. Someone got burned, strangled, and put into an oil drum. That's all we know. Hopefully it's not Keiichi. Hopefully. Alright. Let out a great big yawn. It's like morning had arrived just as I got to sleep. My mom set up breakfast. She gave me a pained smile. What's the matter, Keiichi? What time did you go to sleep last night? Well, I wanted to go to sleep at midnight, but I had some trouble with that. You're probably all worked up from the festival. No, that's not it. Yum, yum, yum. Sounds like hide is loose again. Literally, everything can be connected back. I crunched down hard on the pickled radish to hide my embarrassment. Pickled radish. I remember what happened yesterday in our discussion about the sound Shion heard. That banging noise, like a child far away, jumping up and down on a wooden floor. The story wouldn't get out of my head, so I had trouble sleeping. It was a long night. I just kept jumping at sounds far away tree branches, which should have been either unhearable or too insignificant to notice. I woke up to a morning sunlight of birds chirping and made me feel pretty ashamed about it, but I felt far from refreshed this morning.
Keiji-kun, good morning. Huh? Keiji-kun, your eyes are all red.
Why is that? Dude. My man, Keiichi, had a rough night. He's been freaking smoking in his room. Oh, hey, good morning. I didn't get much sleep last night, so I'm sleep deprived today. Actual yawn.
Festival yesterday was a lot of fun.
Rena's excitement took a long time.
Rena's excitement took a long time to go to sleep, so it took a long time to go to sleep too. To sleep.
He's been smoking the devil's lettuce. That's what you gotta do when the devil's after you. You smoke the devil's lettuce to get back at him, right? In Rena's case, her excitement seemed to be still wide awake. They should have this kind of festival more often. So we can have lots of fun. Oh,
we should have this kind of festival more often, so we can have lots of fun together again. Oh.
Yeah. Now talking about the festival yesterday made me remember everything I'd nearly forgotten from last night. Yeah. Have freaking flashbacks. Inside the ritual storehouse, I've been so utterly different from the relaxed, bright, everyday life of Hinamizawa. All those stories that Takano-san told me too. Mysterious incidents that occurred on the day of the Watanagashi Festival every year. Strange incidents where one person would die and one would disappear. The old stories of Hinamizawa flickering like a candle behind them. The numerous and horrifying tradition of Onigachi Village. The villages with demon blood in them, the terrible cannibalistic feasts. The poor sacrifices kidnapped from human villages, victims of Onikakushi. To quell the rage of a Yashiro-sama, the ritual involving living sacrifices. There are also many, many others. There were so many stories that just remembering them put me in a foul mood. Most of them weren't fiction either, they were true. I didn't need to fear them just because they were real though, since it all happened so long ago. Such a very long time ago. Yeah. Wouldn't you wish it was like that?
Where's Mi-chan? She's late.
Huh? Before I realized it, we had arrived at a place where we'd usually meet with Mion. Probably because I was so lost in thought.
We agreed if she isn't here by now, we can just go on ahead, right? Should we?
Mion being late wasn't too rare of an occasion. Today she was unusually late. Ominous tales from the night before came back to life in my mind again. Who would die this year? Who would disappear? Couldn't have been Mion. No way it's Mion. Mion's the one doing the disappearing. Making the disappearing happen.
What should we do, Keiji-kun? If we don't get going, we'll be late.
She'll be here. She didn't call to tell us she'd be staying home today, right? Let's just wait 5 more minutes, okay? Rena looked at her watch, seemed a little worried, and then she nodded with a satisfied smile. If we had to wait 5 more minutes, we'd have to run as fast as we could to school or we'd be late. As soon as I thought of that, we spotted Mion running toward us, out of breath.
Mi-chan, you're late!
Why would you assume that? What? Because Mion is obviously a part of a freaking demon cult? 100%? Like, no doubt in my mind that Mion has something to do with this, so obviously she wouldn't be the one to disappear. Right? You waited? You should have just gone ahead. Mion was breathing heavily and her face was all red. The house was right down this road, wasn't it? It wasn't far enough away for it to end up like this, was it?
Mi-chan, are you not feeling well?
Huh? Now that she mentioned it. Rena pushed Mion's bangs away, put her hand to her forehead. Rena, your hand is pretty cold.
Mi-chan, you're a little warm.
No big deal. Give it half a day and I'll be fit as a fiddle. Are you really okay? You don't have to push yourself, you know? What's this? Kei-chan, are you worried about me? That's nice of you. The answer wasn't like Mion at all. She must have had it pretty bad.
I just think you shouldn't push yourself so hard. You told the teacher you had to take the day off.
I'm fine, I'm fine. I took some medicine. I think it's already working. Mion forced an energetic expression onto her face and flexed her biceps at us. Okay, well, let's go. Don't overdo it, but of course, there's the time. I'll let you believe what you want without saying yes or no. Thanks. Freedom of theory.
Well, we need to run or we won't make it.
This morning sure is thrilling. Maybe I'll just wait. It's just what I need to shake off the slowness. Let's run. Wait, you're sick. Don't go overboard. Mion began to run vigorously anyway.
Mi-chan is older than us, right? She knows her own body better than anyone.
I decided to leave it at that and assume she was fine. Great, then we should get going too. I'm gonna run after Mion. There's probably gonna be an announcement for someone's death, right? School looked the same as always. Hours passed listlessly and my lack of sleep took its toll. If there was a sport where people competed by sleeping, I'd be world champion right now. The trick to overcoming a sort of dangerous situation was to hold your pencil upside down. Why, you ask? So you don't draw strange patterns all over your notes while half asleep. What? Oh, okay. But then you don't take notes anyway, what the heck? But no, I will act smug silently when I know things you don't. I know. Bump, 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 bump. Something that felt like an eraser hit me in the head 6 times. Ow, ow, what was that for? Is that the goal?
I haven't done a single thing.
Who else would play a prank on me like this? Oh, it was chalk, not an eraser. Yeah, the teacher. Oh, no. Yeah, behind me, like a female outlaw might hold the razors, was this teacher's shadow, holding 3 pieces of chalk in each hand. Rumble, rumble, rumble. Barbara-kun, go and wash your face. Right, gladly. That alone was enough to wake me up. I flew into the hall as if I shoved out by pressure excluded by the teacher's sheer power. If I was going to wash my face anyway, then I would rather use the sinks out front rather than the ones in the dark restroom. Thinking that, I left the hallway and went to the entrance. Sunlight was strong. So strong you wouldn't think it was June. Turned the faucet with a lifeless bubbling noise. Lukewarm water came pouring out. If I let it run a few moments, would it get cold? I looked at it absent-mindedly for a while. Oh? I knew you'd choose these things, Kei-chan. These sinks. The ones out front just feel better, don't they? Mion? No cutting class now. I stuck my hands in the water to find it had gotten so cold that it seemed strange it had ever been warm. I scooped it up and splashed it against my face. So I was done, I moved out of the way, and Mion did the same. Mion, how's your cold doing? You're sleepy because of the medicine, not from lack of sleep, right? Actually, this is a secret, but after the festival yesterday, I got wrapped up in my party my relatives are having. And well, I had a bit. Oh! Mion! A bit? She made a gesture like she was tilting a cup into her mouth, which means you didn't have a cold or anything. Are you hungover? How old are you? Give me a break. I really don't feel well, you know? Suppose she'd be feeling lousy either way. Still, you treat colds and hangovers in completely different ways. I was worried over nothing. Man, guess that's just like you, Mion. Mion scratched her head, a little embarrassed. She didn't seem to be feeling well. But all I knew was a hangover. I didn't need to worry too much. It would go away with time, after all. Oh, my head really is pounding, so... Teacher told me I should go home early. Ugh, you cheater. So you are going home now, Mion? So, now that I looked again, Mion had a bag with her. She must have been on her way home. Yep, I feel bad about it, though. I'll get some rest at home like a good girl. Sorry I can't make it to the club. Did you take over as leader for today, Kei-chan? I don't know if that will happen. We have that unspoken rule that we don't do club unless everyone is there, don't we? Never did it when you had to go to your part-time job, did we? Mion laughed wryly, saying we didn't need to worry about her. No matter how much fun we have, though, I think that feeling guilty about friends who share in it is the sign of a really fantastic friendship. In that sense, the club Mion has created is a wonderful thing. As though I thought about it, the moisture on my face dried up. Suppose we were talking too much. If I didn't get back to class soon, I could get in trouble. Okay, later. I'm going back. Careful on your way home. Don't wobble into a sewer or a brook, got it? I left it at that, turned around, and started heading back into the classroom. Oh, one more thing, Kei-chan. Don't say anything sus. Don't say it. Do not. I know what you're gonna do. Mion stopped me, turned my head to listen. What's up? This may sound weird, but don't think too hard about it. Well, that depends on what it is. I know what you did last night. That's what I thought. Last night, near the end of the festival, did you see Tomitaki-san or Takano-san anywhere? Suddenly tensed up. You know Tomitaki-san, Takano-san, right? You remember, Kei-chan, when the four of you were talking during setup the day before? If I could, I wanted to forget about sneaking to that storehouse that night as soon as possible. Hearing the names of people I was with at the time really got to me. Besides that, though, why was Mion asking a question like that? I ended up staring at her and unable to answer immediately. Was she asking to see if I'd seen them or not, or was she asking the question knowing that I had? I couldn't tell. Oh, well, maybe? Keiichi, you're so bad! You're so bad at lying. I might have seen them around, I don't know. My vague response was clearly not to Mion's liking. Whatever answer she was expecting from me, there was no way for me to know. I see. Then, one more question. On the same night, did you see Shion? The heart leapt in my throat again. The tiny needles buried underneath Mion's words pricked into me. Didn't you ask me that yesterday? I think I told you I wasn't sure if I had or not. Did you? I guess that I just thought I'd get a different answer if I asked you again. Oh, her freaking eyes, dude. Oh, she knows, she knows. I totally noticed something in Mion's eyes, something indescribable. Tomitaki-san and Takano-san. Shion too. She's asking me about them. There's no doubt about it. Last night, the four of us snuck into the ritual storehouse. She knew everything. So what? It's not really a curse anyway. That's right. Even Shion and Takano said yesterday during the festival that there was no curse, and that rather than a curse, it was the doing of the villagers. My blood curdled. Mion was, almost without a doubt, aware that we had snuck into the storehouse. There's nothing strange. I screwed up bad flipping on the light switch last night. Mion had been searching for me. It was simple to imagine that she had seen the momentary light, come to find out what was going on. Yeah, true. Did you really not see her? Why are you so intent on knowing if I did or not? It's not important. It's just that there are some people who are speaking poorly of Tomitaki-san, Takano-san, Shion, and you, Kei-chan. I didn't really hear what they were saying, though. Unpleasant sweat dripped down my arms, and the sound of it hanging from my fingertips was annoyingly loud. I don't believe that you were doing something bad. I just wanted to ask you about it, so I did. Sorry for making you uncomfortable, okay? Found myself unable to reply. My reaction must have made it obvious what the truth was. Yeah, you're so bad, Keiichi. I couldn't explain myself. Kei-chan, you weren't with Tomitaki-san, Takano-san, or Shion, right? Yeah. Yeah. Finally rang out the answer between ragged breaths. Mion's expression softened a little. That's good. I'll have to tell them. You weren't involved in anything bad, Kei-chan, so I'll make sure to tell everyone. Yeah, someone saw and freaking spread the news like wildfire. You know? Yeah, please do. Tell them I wasn't doing anything bad. To everyone, make sure. Everyone. Who is everyone? Okay, later. I'll be better tomorrow. Bye-bye. Johnny. Right? Wait, Mion. What do you mean by everyone? Just then, a freezing cold hand touched the back of my neck. Rena? Hey. You're late, my Barakun. How long does it take you to wash your face? It was the teacher. Okay. I was talking so long she came out to get me. Oh, I'm sorry. I was just speaking to Mion. Turned around, but Mion had crossed through the schoolyard without me realizing it, was now standing at the school gate. Come, back to your studies. Quickly now. Teacher was being insistent. We returned to the entrance. Looked back one more time and Mion was nowhere in sight. Oh, dude, she's gonna go home and hecking plan. Oh, God.
Keiichi, you haven't seemed well all day. It's clearly because you had far too much fun yesterday.
I don't want to be told that by the one who nearly lost. Your face was all red and you were nearly crying.
Satoko-chan is so cute last night. Aw.
My friends did their best to try to cheer me up, but it didn't lighten my mood. Is it far worse than I thought? Had I really done something that terrible last night? These thoughts remained with me for the rest of the day. Yeah.
Bye, Keiichi-kun. I'll see you tomorrow.
Until I realized I was in front of my own house.
Mi-chan had a cold, right? Could you have a cold too, Keiichi-kun? Could you?
Huh? I'm fine. I may look scrawny, but I've never missed school because of a cold.
Both you and Mi-chan didn't look so good today, though.
Thanks for worrying about me. I'm fine. Idiots don't catch colds, remember? Uh-huh. I smiled, then waved to me and left. Ooh. My shoulders bobbing up and down with breathing heavily, I entered the house. When I got back, Mom called out to me. What? Keiichi, I'm sorry, but could you go to the library and return a few books for me? I don't feel like it. Your dad and I have to wait inside the house for a phone call right now, so we can't leave. I need you to return them today. Could you please do it? Sheesh. Did it have to do with Dad's job? No point in arguing if they bring that up. I guess so, but I don't know where the library is.
Oh, you don't? It's a little bit past Okinomiya Station.
Just then, the phone rang. My parents' faces immediately turned grim. Mom snatched up the receiver.
Hello.
Maibara speaking?
I'm sorry?
Yes, he's right here. And she thrust the receiver at my face.
It's for you, Keiichi. Won't take too long, okay?
Tried to ask who it was from, but asking the person on the phone directly would be faster. Hello? Ah, this is Sonozaki. Well, the younger one.
Hello.
Oh, Shion.
Do you have time to talk right now?
It was Shion! The older sister had a hangover today. The younger one made no reference to it. Shion, I thought you'd be sleeping in today with a hangover. Same as Mion. Is it the IRS? You know, maybe. I don't know. What? Mion had a hangover? That's so like her. She laughed warmly, but Mom glared at me, silently telling me to finish up. Oops, sorry. My parents are waiting for an important call, so I can't talk for too long. What do you need?
There's something I wanted to talk about, but if we can't talk long, I guess that's that.
She sounded a little disappointed. What would she even want to talk to me about? Now I was interested.
How about we meet in person?
If you could show me where the library is... if you could show me where the library is too, that would be great.
You mean the public library near the station? Yes, that's fine. I go past there on my way to work anyway.
Okay, then you know where I usually meet up with Mio? At that intersection with the small patch in front of Sonozaki House splits?
Okay, Chan, did I not tell you? I don't live at the main house. I live in Okinomiya. If we could meet by the ticket machines at Okinomiya Station, that'd be great.
Main house? Living in Okinomiya? She mentioned it. She always seemed like the Sonozaki sisters weren't communicating. They live in different houses? So now that she mentioned it, Rena said she'd never met the younger sister despite going over to play sometimes. Let's meet at the station then. I'll go over there right away. Bye. Set the receiver down and Mom immediately thrust a pile of books, library books in my face. 6 volumes of long-form mystery novels. Mom had her own hobbies.
Thank you, Keiichi. Be back by nightfall.
Got it. Okay, I'm going. I suppose I change my clothes and grab a bike key. Climb my stairs to my bedroom. Nothing too spooky, right? She had been waiting for me already, so meeting up was a smooth process. Wow, Mion never keeps her appointments. I mean, honestly. Yeah, making my sister the standard for everything will get you in trouble. Hmm? She seemed a little unsteady, too. She was drinking with Mion last night, wasn't she? You were drinking last night, too, weren't you? Don't try to hide it. You definitely went home from school early. Aw, too bad. I've been at home all day in the first place. I'm smarter than Mion after all. Hey, I don't think you can call playing hooky smarter. You should finish your errand first. We don't have much time. We're going to the library, right? Yeah, thanks. My mom had to return some books today. Some books by today. Is the library far? No, it's really close by. She said that, we spotted the signboard for the library almost immediately. If it was this easy to find, then I guess I didn't need Shion to show me where it was after all. We rode around a bend and the building was right there. Shishibone Public Library. We lived in the country, so I hadn't expected too much. It was pretty big. First floor was actually a government office, so the library was only on the second floor. It still looked large enough to fit a decent collection of books. Passed through the automatic doors, and we were greeted by a cool breeze of an air curtain. Cicadas had been allowed outside, but it was quiet inside the library. The air conditioning inside was keeping the temperature at an ideal level for the books, which had that mildewy smell unique to old paper. Guess every library is basically the same. If there was one difference, it was that people sitting for tests weren't taking up all the seats. Yeah. I was one of those people, but now that seemed like a distant memory. Hello, I have some books I'd like to return. Library went through the process of checking them in, then returned my mom's library card. Shion was going around the bookshelves with a deeply interested look on her face, like she wasn't the type that went to libraries often. Yeah, neither am I.
Sorry for the wait. I'm all done.
Oh, sorry for the wait, I'm all done. Libraries sure are nice and cool, aren't they?
I want to work for a library one day.
Don't know whether I'd call it boring or dependable. It's a pretty small dream compared to your sister. Yoon would definitely want to be a hard-working employee for an international trading company, some other crazy job that would involve her running all around the world. Compared to that, what Shion said is pretty heartwarming. Well, we need to keep our differences dear to us. We're not copies, we're two different people, called Shion and Mion. Twins have a lot to think about, huh? Still, it sounds like fun. I don't have any brothers, so there's just me and my parents at my house. It can get a little uncomfortable. Dude, I wonder how much the plot would change if Keiichi really did have a sibling or a brother. That'd be so weird. Right? There's so many things could come up with from that.
It's the same for me. I don't live with Mion after all.
Oh right, she said something like that, didn't she? Why though? Since living apart is unusual. We were getting tired of talking while we were walking. We ended up going to a lounge area, which was vacant, continuing the conversation.
Yeah. Mion lives in the main house, and I live in Okinomiya.
What do you mean by main house? You make it sound like you're nobility. Well, you are.
It's just the main house, the Sonozaki family's main house. Mion's the successor, so she lives with Nana, and apparently studies all sorts of things as preparation to be head of the family.
Mion, the head of the family? Kind of fit her personality, but kind of didn't, too.
Kei-chan, you just moved here, right? This will sound like I'm boasting, but we of the Sonozaki family are kind of personages around here.
Oh, seriously? The word personage. Personage. That's what it is. Didn't really match the extremely sociable air that Mion and Shion gave off. From what Shion explained, the Sonozaki family goes way back to the beginnings of Hinamizawa. After the war, they had a bunch of successful ventures and extended their influence to a wider area. The Sonozaki family is a foundation under which the entire family cooperates, though the current family head, Grandma, was the one who built it. The entire family would provide backup to help one relative with a business venture. They're like a huge living company. To let them avoid tax-related problems and help relatives' ventures succeed one after another, using large amounts of money. Jesus, wow. If you ever go for a walk through Okinomiya, pay attention to the signboards and stuff. There's a ton of shops here, managed by members of the Sonozaki family. Now that you mention it, that toy store looked like it was managed by relatives as well. Does that mean your relatives operate Angel Mart too? Yes, they've said this in the past. What the heck? Even a few shops I'm familiar with involved by the Sonozaki family, he was definitely surviving. Families in particular are strong in finance and real estate. Even a lot of members of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry either have the last name Sonozaki or are their relatives. There are lots of Sonozakis in the city council and prefectural assembly too, so they have the Okinomiya area giving them strong electoral support. Dude, what is this? There's a word, what's the word for it? It starts with an N, doesn't it? When you get your freaking family members positions? What is it called? Nepotism. Yeah. Wait a minute. This is all escalating pretty quickly. Relatives operate shops in downtown Okinomiya, and they're especially strong in finance and real estate. Top of that, a lot of those in Chamber of Commerce and Industry are relatives. And are there even people elected to local offices? So then, Sonozaki family, it's pretty famous in this area? Yeah, nepotism. When you're in a position and you elect people around you, or you get other people jobs based solely on the fact that you know them, or that they're their family or something. That's nepotism, I think. So then the Sonozaki family, it's pretty famous in this area? Yes, it's crazy. Dude, this guy. All of a sudden, a cigarette-smoking, overweight old man interrupted our conversation. Wait, I know this guy. Hello. Good afternoon. Do you want a date today? Oh, what I would give to be a young man again. If you thought we were on a date, then why are you bothering us, Oishi-san? That was it. He was Oishi-san, a police officer. I thought it was this person who came to my rescue when I got involved with those delinquents before. Now that I thought about it, Mion didn't seem to like him very much. Oishi jump scare. Sure, if you even consider that a jump scare. No, I apologize. I heard a familiar voice, so I came over to see. Oishi laughed chorously, not showing any signs of giving up. Shion watched him do so. I didn't feel the same sense of malice from where I did from Mion. Yeah. Maibara-san, right? You're one tough guy. Two-timing the Sonozaki sisters, are you? Oh. No, I'm not two-timing anyone. I turned around to look at Shion and plead for help, but she grinned and maintained her silence. My gaze wandered. She looked at the clock. I'm sorry, Kei-chan. I really need to get my job. Huh? Oh, did you? Wait, didn't Shion have something to talk about today? Oh, this weird man is here, though. Yep, I'll see you later. Oh, I'll give you a call after I'm done. It'll be okay to call at night, right? Yeah, probably okay. I'll talk to you later tonight. Bye. Shion left so fast she was practically running. Oishi-san was waving at me with a grin. Felt like I'd been here as bait so she could get away. Maybe she was lying about having to go to work. Yeah, I think so. You're quite the big shot being so close to the Sonozaki daughters. Maybe I should rethink how I talk to you too. Oishi put a coin in the vending machine as he said something quite appalling. Is iced tea okay with you? Do you want milk in it? Huh? Oh no, I'll put some in then, alright? Here you are. He handed me a cup of tea filled to the brim with ice, as I looked on absent-mindedly. I don't think I'm obligated to have a guy like this buy me a drink, but did get it for me, so I'll thank him. Was Oishi-san just killing time? We didn't know each other very well, but he still engaged me in conversation about all sorts of dumb things. I thought back to how I talked with Shion, this seemed like a total disaster. Yeah, come on, interrogate me. I know what you're here for. I know. Maibara-san, how much do you know about Sonozaki-san? Other than what I heard just now, nothing. Till then, I didn't know anything about either Mion or Shion, or the fact that they were interesting. I really did only learn that she was just the daughter of some prestigious family. Sonozakis are a Yakuza group with the entire region under their thumb. Yep, that's what we thought, yep. Plus, her father is a high-ranked executive at XX Yakuza Association. Did you know that? What? An executive? Have you ever seen where Shion-san lives? It's a very picture of a gang boss's house, protected by high walls, barbed wire fence, and security cameras. If you have the chance, you should go and visit her. Dude, oh my god. Keiichi can marry in to the Yakuza family. Dude, that would be so good for him. He could have all the protection, you know? God. Which then he'd have to be okay with all the madness they're doing, but that's fine. She mentioned Mion being successor, but to a Yakuza group? No. Not at all. Forming an old Yakuza group isn't the only thing Mion Sonozaki-san will inherit. Need a Yakuza GF. 100% agree. Oh my god. Where is Yakuza GF? There's so many hecking anime about Yakuza BF. Where is Yakuza GF? You know, where? She is inheriting the Sonozaki family itself. I'll leave it to you to mull over what exactly that means. Oishi-san had spoken lightly about all this from the start to finish, but what he was saying wasn't light in the least. He was abrupt and unbelievable. If Mion-san wanted to, she could kill someone in the middle of the street and still cover it up. Not only would witnesses not show up, she'd put pressure on the police too. Mion would never kill someone. She wouldn't. I'm just speaking hypothetically. Your name, it was Oishi-san, right? Yes, that's right. Then Oishi-san. Whatever family Mion comes from, it doesn't change the fact, that she's the best friend I could ever have, and I'm proud of that. I don't appreciate someone speaking ill of her. Let my quiet anger show through my gaze as I stared at him. Of course, I could never seem to tell what he's thinking, so I didn't know if it had any effect. Let me be frank. Mion-san was suspected of a handful of incidences. What would you think? Suspected? Incidents? You can't just say terrible stuff like that on a whim? Then it would be a misunderstanding, of course. Mion may say some dangerous things, but she's not the kind of person who would do something so awful. Maibara-san, keep your voice down. We're in a library. Oishi-san shushed me, but in a state of heightened excitement as I wouldn't be calmed so easily. Please calm down. As I said before, the Sonozaki family has a lot of power in this region, for better or for worse. So if anything happens, they would immediately be suspect. I'd appreciate it if you understood that. Well, I know what Oishi-san is trying to say. Combining it with what Shion told me before, the Sonozaki family is huge, and controls everything from Hinamizawa to Okunomiya. Mion, meanwhile, is a successor, who apparently holds strong influence over the entire family. Still, that's all? It's the only reason they're suspecting her? I'm just doing my job here, not to doubt Mion-san or anything, but to clear up suspicions surrounding her. Please think of it like that. He could talk a dog out of a meat truck. He's the definition of a shrewd, unfair adult. At this point, I began to think. There was no coincidence I'd met him. Oishi-san, do you need something from me? Yes, I do. Keiji Maibara-san. He answered in an absent tone of voice. Mion's being suspected of something, and you came to hear... Mion's being suspected of something, and you came to hear from a friend of hers, me. Is that it? No, that isn't it. I didn't come to talk about a friend of Mion Sonozaki-san. I came to talk to Keiji Maibara-san. It would probably have bothered you had I visited your house. To me? What do the police want with me? I realized this fake coincidental meeting had me as a target. My mood suddenly turned foul. You don't need to be so tense. Calm down and just answer a few questions. Am I being questioned? Let's call it a chat with a guy you happen to run into. Oh, yeah, sure. Well, she freely suggested that I relax. That being said, behind his eyes was a light, which I could only see a few times, that was sharp as a hawk. If I tried to make him run away, he might actually take me in and bring me into an interrogation room or something. That was undoubtedly a pleasant thought. You had a good time at the Watanagashi Festival last night, didn't you? Don't beat around the bush, please. I can't do small talk right now. Last night, during the festival. Did you see Jiro Tomotaki-san and Mio Takano-san? Gulp. I could have plainly felt myself give a start. Where did I put those pictures? Oh, here they are. I put a small notebook and removed 2 photographs. I didn't have to look. Who knows? I might have seen them around. I don't remember. Keiichi, stop hecking lying. At least tell the truth to the frickin' police, man. I was asked the same question for a second time today. Give the same answer for the second time, too. Your memories are blurry. Couldn't have been possibly drinking or anything. Here, too, I got the same answer as I had from Mion. I realized he wasn't taking my vague reply well. Why is he asking me the same thing Mion did? This dark feeling I'd nearly forgotten during my conversation with Shion became rushing back in a hurry. He snuck into the sacred ritual storehouse, a punishable act. It's on a tiny impulse. While it may not count for much now, I do feel sorry about it. I'll ask you again. Did you see Jiro Tomotaki-san and Mio Takano-san at the festival last night? Yeah, be frank with him. His tone was soft, but there was a dreadfulness in his voice, clearly different from the first time he asked. I'm scared. That's exactly how I felt. Even if you repeat the question, my answer won't change. I don't really remember. There wasn't any better answer I could give him. I didn't have the balls to say I didn't see them, nor the courage to admit I had. God, I see. I just thought maybe I'd get a different answer if I asked a second time. Exactly with what Mion said. I'm too scared to look at Oishi-san in the eyes. Then he'll know 100%. I'll change the question. Come, Maibara-san. Relax. Oishi-san grabbed my shoulders and squeezed them as if trying to give me a massage. Mostly just hurt, though. Still, why would he ask me the same things as Mion? If he's asking the same things, then the next question must be... It's not. On the same night of the festival, did you see Shion Sonozaki-san? Yep. I wondered what that sound was, and I looked down, saw it was unmelted ice in the cup I was gripping in my hands. My hands were trembling, working the ice back and forth, realizing I'd hastily put the remaining ice in my mouth and crunched down on it. Sorry, I may have seen her, but, well, you know, she looks like Mio, and I might have just mistaken the two. But that can't be. Suddenly, Oishi-san grabbed both my shoulders and hunched down to give me a level stare. This might be what it's like to be a deer in the headlights. I wanted to look away, but I can't. It's the first time I've experienced such a piercing stare. Mion-san and Sonizaki-san wear completely different clothing. You wouldn't mistake the two so easily, I would think. Dude, this is just almost an exact repeat of the conversation with Mion. Except I trust freaking Oishi-san a lot more. I'm not gonna lie. Maibara-san. His voice was harsh. Harsh, the same as when Mion said it. Keiichi needs an adult. Dude, an adult's right there. Literally, Oishi-san. Could feel my heartbreak quickening. When I realized he could feel it through the hands on my shoulders, I got even more scared. Why are Mion and Oishi-san both asking about last night? I was thinking that storehouse so bad. Ugh. Shouldn't have let Takano-san talk me into it. Matake-san casually said to check it out too, so... Even Shion, if she hadn't encouraged me... No, I understood. I was the one most at fault here. Shouldn't have let my curiosity get the best of me. Shouldn't have gone in that forbidden storehouse. Oishi-san, I think that's our cue to get out of here. A young man in a suit came into the lounge. From the way he held himself, I knew immediately that was Oishi-san's subordinate. Oh. So it is. Closing time already. I didn't realize it until he said something. The jingle and announcement telling the patrons' library is closed started playing without me realizing it. So irritated, so overwhelmed, I couldn't even hear that. Well then, my Barakun, we're out of time, so allow me to take my leave. I'd like to talk with you more about this at your own leisure. Maybe when we have more time. This isn't a joke. If I never saw him again, it would be too soon. Oishi-san followed his subordinate and left the lounge behind him. However, he spun back around. Here's my card! Right? Alright, my bar-san. What? What is it? It's the questions I asked you before. You don't remember well enough to answer either of them, correct? Right? Just so you know, you saw them all yesterday. You were walking along, the four of you, having quite a pleasant time. Oh! He's just saying it! Oh, get hecking wrecked, Keiichi. Oh my god. Just come right and... Wow. Near the stone steps. I saw you with my own eyes. You can't lie to me, Keiichi. With the freaking smile on his face. Oh my god. I caught my breath and my heart seemed like it was about to stop. What a detestable person. He knew and he was testing me. We'll meet again. Have a good year. That's so bad. Oh my god. Sat there like a rock, unmoving, so I could no longer hear the clacking sounds of their footsteps. That's freaking hilarious. I can't. Of course he knew all along. That's what heckin' detectives do. They test you with the knowledge, you know? Heckin' manipulate you into telling what that you want to hear. I was on my way back home. The cries of Higurashi accentuated the already lonely evening. More time had passed than I thought. The orange of the dusky sky was being chased down little by an indigo color approaching from the east. Exhausted from the slow climb toward Hinamizawa, without even noticing I'd gotten off my bicycle and was pushing it uphill. It would be less sus for K1 to tell the truth. Yeah, exactly. I don't understand any of this. No one had told me to my face I'd done something wrong. No, in fact, it might have been much easier on me that way. What happened yesterday really was just my curiosity. It was really no more than a quiet prank. No more than having the courage to cross a red light as long as you did it with other people. Yeah, it was just a prank, guys! It was just a prank! Storehouse for ritual implements, hollowed ground, only accessible to family of the priest. For sure, I'd seen terrifying things I'd never imagined would be there. Thinking on it, though, didn't matter what it was stored away inside. Didn't make the wrong I'd committed any more right. The four of us did, Mion seemed to know about it. For some reason, even the police were trying to learn what the four of us did. Did we do things so bad? Really? It doesn't matter how wrong it was. I did something wrong. There's nothing more than that, and yet I couldn't accept it. I didn't apologize to Mion or Oishi-san. All I did was shield myself with ambiguities. I did something wrong yesterday. Set my foot into a forbidden storehouse for a little bit of mischief. I'll forget everything I saw in there. I won't do something like that ever again either. Sorry, I'm sorry. If I apologize like that, would they forgive me? The suddenly cool evening air left no room for such sentiment, however. so it mercilessly chilled my feet, urging me to head home as soon as possible. In the end, the evening air was correct. If I trudged along in such an isolated road, regrets would pile on to top of regrets, and nothing would change. Let's go home. I'll go home, go to my room, put on my favorite music or something, and go to bed. It might sound plain and boring, but it's probably the strongest I felt all day. Now I've made a decision. There's no point in dawdling in a place like this. Sat back on my bike, pushed hard on the pedals, rapidly advanced forward, steadily gained speed. The wind was cutting and mercilessly cold, but it actually felt good, as if it were softly pushing me. Yeah, just chill, Keiichi. Just chill, relax. I mean, you did break and enter, but other than breaking and entering, I mean, I don't think it was too bad. You know? I didn't eat much dinner before excusing myself early and returning to my bedroom. Mom called me from downstairs. Keiichi, you have a call. It's from Sonozaki-san. Sonozaki? Was it Mion? No, it was Shion. She remembered. She had something she wanted to tell me today. Yoshi-san had interrupted us, so we didn't get the chance. Shion said she'd call tonight. Hello? Is that you, Shion? Hello. I ran into a bit of trouble today, didn't we? She said so plainly that I got a bit annoyed. She was the one who left me there and ran. Don't say that. I gave you the signal to run away with me, didn't I? You just sat there looking dazed, Kei-chan. I wasn't dazed. All of a sudden you left me there, and after that I was put up with that old Oishi guy for ages. Don't complain to me about it. Can't believe she passed it off like that. She looks just like Mion, and yet inside she's this different. Got a little irritated with myself when I realized I was somewhat in my mind hoping for the same reaction I would get from Mion, even though she's a different person. Sorry. Next time I'll run away first thing and leave you there. Hey, the ladies first. Shion laughed refreshingly. When I heard her voice, I realized she wasn't really that angry or anything. It was just as she said. The cause of my temper was because of my own fault for not leaving immediately. I'll stop blaming it on others. Blaming it on others would be... Anyway, you had something to tell me, right? Oh yeah. I mean, if you already know, then it's not something that bears repeating. Do you already know? He doesn't know. They're dead, aren't they? She lowered her voice suddenly, as if she were glancing around. I had no idea what I could already know. Sorry, but I have no clue what you're talking about. At least give me a hint. So that means you don't know. She didn't take my stupid-sounding question as evidence. However, her voice didn't sound disappointed or exasperated in the slightest. Actually, it's about last night, during the Watanagashi Festival. My entire body jolted as I assailed by a terrible feeling. Is Shion going to ask the same thing? Dude, Shion was there. She already hecking knows. She doesn't need to ask. Hello? Kei-chan, are you listening? Yeah, I am. What about last night? The four of us went in there, right? She didn't beat around the bush. Whether or not I wanted to admit it, that's the actual, honest truth. Couldn't act like it hadn't happened. Then after that, we walked away together and went our separate ways near the stone stairs, right? Takano-san and Tomitaki-san went to the stream and you stayed there, Kei-chan? I went over to see some relatives. Yeah? Why do you ask? We won't make any progress if we keep asking each other questions, so let me ask this question first, okay? You mean, did I see Tomitaki-san and Takano-san last night? Huh? Oh, yes. Did you see the two of them after that? I'd be lying if I said I wasn't surprised. It's the third time I've been asked this question today. Why? Why? What the hell is going on? Why? Why are you asking me that? No, Kei-chan, I'm asking the question. Please answer me. Did you, Shion? If you answer first, then I'll answer. My shabby response betrayed how scared and small I felt now. For everything that had happened today, Shion didn't say anything for a few moments. Just as I was beginning to think that I'd really put my foot in my mouth with that response, she finally answered me. Of course I didn't see them. My relatives were with me, they could vouch for that. I didn't see them either. People can vouch for me too, like Miu and Rena and everyone else. Now that we knew our answers matched, she held out a sigh that sounded far more relieved than anything else. Thank you for answering me honestly. Okay, then I'll tell you. Oh, here we go. Apparently, last night, Takano-san and Tomitaki-san died. Sorry, Shion. What was that you just said? Bro, it's another prank.
Apparently, last night, Takano-san and Tomitaki-san died. Takano-san was found burned to death. Takano-san was found burned to death. Tomitaki-san was, well, it looked like a suicide. I found out this morning. I heard my dad talking to a relative on the phone about it. Late last night, a police car on its way back to from the festival security duty had discovered Tomitaki-san lying in the middle of a road, heading towards Okonomiya. He had a cloud out his own throat and died. Wait, so no one went missing? Or maybe Takano was supposed to go missing. Takano was supposed to go missing, but they found her. But how come this timeline is different from the first one unless, like, Oishi-san knows? Because, like, there would be no cause for him to be this vigilant so early. I don't think. What? Cloud out his own throat? You're kind of surprised they would kill them again, but it does make sense. Yeah, because I feel like the timeline will change more the more times we go through it, but... That bright, cheerful Tomitaki-san committed suicide? That can't possibly be right. The police did an autopsy. He did it with his own fingernails. He scratched out his own throat so hard he ruptured his blood vessels and bled out. He died in a pool of his own blood. That's what they said. I've never heard such an insane suicide. The timeline has nothing to do with the previous. But you can't say that. You can't say that. They're so similar. You can't just scratch out your own throat like that. I realized I was yelling too loudly, so I lowered the force I was putting into my voice. I didn't want my parents to hear me, so I switched to the cordless phone and ran up to my room. Sorry for yelling. So, is Takano-san, was that a suicide too? In her case, it's a bit unclear. Takano-san's body was found in the middle of the mountains in the Gifu prefecture. Employees at a rest spot nearby reported to the police late at night that they could see flames in the mountains. Firefighters dispatched there and were the first ones to find her. An autopsy concluded that it was a burned corpse of a half-naked female. They initially considered the body beyond recognition, but after that there was a request for a dental comparison with XX Prefectural Police Station Okonomiya, and the result concluded it was Mio Takano. Cause of death wasn't confirmed, but it was highly likely to have been homicide, since she was in her undergarments and her clothes were nowhere in the area. Yeah. The hologram had fallen over, so it's possible she burned herself to death. It couldn't possibly have been a suicide. If you're gonna die, there are plenty of other easier ways, aren't there? This can't be suicide. That's what I think. It's unthinkable that Tomitaki-san would kill himself too. If the two of us rattled on at each other, there was a silence, and we paused to catch our breaths. So we calmed our nerves. Right then, I understood what Shion's story actually meant. I think it will end up being Oyashio-sama's curse. We all did more than enough to deserve it, after all. Deserve? You've got to be kidding me. It's not like Shion wanted to see it with me. I just went along with her. I tried to say that, but I fell silent. Nothing would come of me blaming others. It didn't matter how much everyone else encouraged me. I could have put my foot down. I lost my own half-assed sense of adventure and agreed to go in with them. Yes, it was my fault and no one else's. I appreciate him owning up to it, but I don't know. It's not completely 100% his fault, you know? He did get pressured into it. Shion, last night, when we stuck into the ritual storehouse, did you predict things would turn out this way? Of course not. I mean, I thought it was pretty risky, but I'd never dreamed something like this would happen. Could happen. Shion's words were probably her true feelings. She knew she could get in trouble if we were caught, but that was the thrill of this little adventure. It was the same for me. Besides that, Kei-chan, think about it for a moment. Didn't Oyashio-sama's curse turn out a little strange this year? It was already plenty strange, seeing as how Tomitaki-san and Takano-san died like that. Given all that, what could possibly be stranger? I mean, that they found the two corpses. Remember what I said? Every other year, one person would die and one would disappear. This year, the first time 2 people have been found dead. That may be true, but it's not a huge deal, is it? It is, Kei-chan. Think about it harder. Listen. 2 people died because of Oyashio-sama's curse. In order to quell Oyashio-sama's anger, 2 people would need to be sacrificed. Is that how it works? So what? Tomitaki-san and Takano-san died, so now 2 people are gonna go missing this year? And I have just the right people in mind.
I don't understand why, but when I said that, I felt my spine freeze.
I don't think anyone's been confirmed missing yet. I think those two people have yet to disappear.
Shion, like me, was obviously getting the same feeling crawling down her back. 2 people have yet to disappear. Shion didn't answer. I couldn't say any more than that either. Chill crept through my clothes and tried to wrap a fist around my heart. Cold hands feeling about on my chest. Neither of us could say anything. Tomotaku-san opened the lock and he died. Takano-san exposed the ritual storehouse and she died. 2 more people were to be sacrificed. Yeah, then they would be none other than the ones who entered with them. None other than us. No, this has gotta be a joke. I wanted so much for her to pass this off as a joke even now. That though was such an incredibly difficult and selfish request. Tomotaku-san and Takano-san had died in a common way like a car accident. I could tell myself it was coincidence. Instead, he had clawed out his own throat and she burned to death, drowned in oil in the mountains. The 2 deaths were so out of the ordinary that I couldn't possibly dismiss it as mere coincidence. It was as if, in exchange for sinking into the ritual storehouse, there must be someone punishing us. Some sort of cruel will working behind the scenes. Even so, I still didn't want to accept that terrifying truth. If I did, then I would have to acknowledge that a horrible crisis was growing near for Shion and I. So I argued against it. I argued, knowing I was running away. Yeah. Don't tell me all the things that are the same, though. But don't tell me. In the first place, it's not even in the newspaper, is it? This monstrous incident would be all over the newspapers and television. Magazine writers would flood the village too, thinking it would make for an interesting story. Of course it's not getting reported by the media. That's how it is in the past too. The past incident occurred for the 3rd year in a row. There were some third-rate magazines that sniffed out the story and ran issues full of gossip columns about Hinamizawa. Fearing that the region would develop negative stigma, they negotiated with the prefecture and the police. Since last year, it became a big conspiracy where no information about the incidents was allowed to be leaked to the media. I hear the elders and top brass from the Sonozaki family put all the pressure they could on the police. Then you mean their deaths are going to be dealt in total secrecy? That's how it is. Of course the police are investigating it. It's being performed in secret too, although I hear the investigation itself is very restricted in what it can and can't do. You could essentially say that they're interfering with a police investigation. The story was unbelievable. People died, and yet they don't publicize it and deal with everything in secret. If we break it down further, it means that no matter who dies on the night of Watanagashi, it won't go public. That's the biggest pile of bullshit I ever heard. Hey-chan, before I said all the villagers could be the ones carrying out Yashigasama's curse, that's what I mean. At some point, a tradition was created here in Hinamizawa, where every year, you're allowed to kill someone on the night of Watanagashi under the guise of it being Oyashigasama's curse. When someone dies on the night of Watanagashi, it turns into the curse of Oyashigasama. The curse turns into a serial murder incident. In order to avoid exasperating the negative stigma surrounding Hinamizawa, those incidents are dealt with in secret. That's insane! Dead and missing people turn up every year. How bad the stigma gets, the police have to draw the line somewhere, don't they? You could say that the incidents happening every year is mysterious, but the police can get the job done when they need to. After all, the incidents always get resolved eventually. It doesn't end up being a string of incidents, you know? It just so happens that something unfortunate happens on the night of Watanagashi every year. That's all it turns into. Yeah, oh, what a coincidence! More people died. Ah, that's to be expected, you know? No, not at all. Most of the criminals responsible for the original dismemberment were arrested. The last one managed to get away and stay away. But the events were totally exposed and elucidated. So it was, in a sense, resolved. Damn supporting couple who died in an accident on the 2nd year. That was an accidental death, plain and simple. They made a lot of investigations into the possibility of it being a homicide, but they didn't turn up anything. It ended up as an accident. It was resolved. On the 3rd year, the priest fell ill and passed away. There were doctors present at the hospital as a deathbed, and they all had trustworthy medical certificates. They even did an autopsy. Concluded that it wasn't a homicide. That was resolved too. The 4th year, the sister-in-law of the damn supporting couple was murdered. The criminal was an abnormal man with a history of regular psychostimulant usage. He confessed that he thought Oyashigasama's curse was so interesting he wanted to try it out. The criminal died of an accident while in prison, so this incident was essentially resolved as well. That's right. None of the incidents had any relation to one another, and each was independently resolved. So then, why does an unfortunate coincidence occur every year on the night of Watanagashi? You could try and say it's a string of related incidents, but they're not related. Yet, every year, someone always dies and someone always disappears. The story of Takano-san told me the day before during the setup. Not that the curse had really occurred this year, I couldn't just laugh it off. Then, does that mean it'll come for us too? Just like how one person dies and one person disappears every year? Are you saying we'll be taken along with Tomitake-san and Takano-san in a race too? My lips had, at some point, completely dry, and just saying that was difficult. Shion didn't respond. Her silence, however, was the clearest form of confirmation she could give me. Sure, we went somewhere we shouldn't have, but we were just looking, right? Which is nice, but... right. Okay, gotcha. We didn't steal anything or take anything out, and we didn't tell anyone when we looked, right? Sort of regretting having committed such a wrong. Even so, was it really so bad that Tomitake-san and Takano-san deserve such cruel deaths? Besides, I didn't care anything about what I saw in there. Takano-san was the only one getting so happy over it, wasn't she? Takano-san was the only one at fault. I don't have anything to do with this. I'm not interested, I'm not involved, I don't give a shit about what was in there. Yeah, I knew saying so wouldn't solve anything. But I could feel myself, my cold self, in the innermost depths of my heart, disgusted at my pointless howling. However, my emotions had broken through the dam. I couldn't stop them anymore. I didn't have any interest in this from the start, damn it. All I wanted to do was watch Rika-chan's performance. You were the one who pulled me away from that, weren't you, Shion? Okay. Look, I know you're angry, I know you're mad. Don't go blaming Shion for it. I mean, she did try to persuade you. But all in all, it was Takano. Like, you could say the freaking adults persuaded the kids because they're literally adults and they're freaking 14. So, you know. I don't give a rat's ass whether they were trying to steal something, try to meet up secretly or whatever. That's right, you're the one who made me go in there in the first place, Shion. You were all, Kei-chan, you need to see what's inside, and you convinced me and then pulled me in. Why the hell did you do that? I didn't have anything to do with this. What will you do? What are you going to do, damn it? How are you going to take responsibility for this? Keiichi, stop. Keiichi, she's already dead. Keiichi, chill. For 2 seconds. You know it's not her fault. You know it's not her fault. Finished my business. Oh, I'm glad you finished your business. Hey, are you listening? What? What happened? Click. Without any warning, the phone cut off. The sound of a receiver being slammed down. Oh, she freaking... Oh, yeah. She was just terrified as I was. And I said some really self-centered things. A riled up emotion disappeared as if they never existed. In their place surged waves of deep regret at having run my mouth so irresponsibly. I could try to call out Shion's name from beyond the disconnected phone, but it was too late. What have I done? Shion was only trying to tell me as much as she could about this thing about to descend upon us. As for me, I could only whine like a child about it. I went to call her back, but then remembered she lived in Okonomiya. I didn't know her phone number. Since I had declared to Mion that I hadn't seen Shion last night, I couldn't just call Mion and ask her for Shion's phone number. I was too scared. You could just say that you guys are hecking dating. Who cares about how mad Mion will get about it? I couldn't even call her back. I was stricken with hopeless regret. I returned the receiver to its stand, and I simply prayed that Shion would call me back again. Please, Shion, calm down and call me again. Oh? That's not gonna be her, though. It's gonna be freaking Oishi or something, you know? Hello, this is Maibara. Except the receiver, as though I wouldn't go through if I didn't grab it at that exact moment. This is Maibara residence? Excuse me for the late call. I'm Kimiyoshi. Oh, Kimiyoshi! The boy! Is this the head of the household? There's the voice of a middle-aged man. All my hopes rushed out of me. No, it isn't. If you need Dad, I'll go call him. I'm to put the receiver back down, but the man stopped me hurriedly. Oh, no. If he's busy, then it's fine. This may be a strange question, but... Is the old man paying you a visit? Is my old man paying you a visit? No, nobody's here at the moment. I see. Again, I apologize for calling you so late at night. Goodbye. I know Mion would be depressed, but who hecking cares at this point? Sorry. Sorry, I know you like Mion. I know. Still no ghosties. There are never ghosties, okay? There's only people in the shadows. There's only a freaking shadow people. Man, I need to freaking calm myself down over Mion. I get so mad. I don't know why. I thought bubbling... I don't know who that was, but what if Shion tried to call while I was talking to him? I thought bubbling with egotistic anger. Hey, wait. Give me a break, Keiichi Maibara. These are selfish emotions that made Shion mad at me, aren't they? The more I thought about it, the more I thought that Shion had given up hope the short time we had a conversation, didn't want to call anymore. Calm yourself, Keiichi Maibara. If Shion does call again, then first apologize in a calm voice. If you do that, then Shion should understand. Dude, oh my god. Keiichi's hicking anger rubbed off onto me. And all my anger was projected out onto Mion. That's what happened. That's the explanation. If you do that, then Shion should understand. However, no matter how long I waited, phone didn't ring again that night. Aww. Whenever you see her, whenever you talk to her again, you could just try. Try again. Apologize, and all that. New tips. From scrapbook, late night phone call. I freaking love the slow build-up. Though I never expect something crazy to happen, we're finally getting, like, we're getting there, you know? We're getting there. So, I think that's where I'm gonna leave it off tonight. Has there been any horror yet? I mean, a little, if you count Mion being extremely suspicious, and her eyes going all demonic. If you count that, then yeah, but... I'll be real, I like Shion the least out of the main gang, but I don't hate her. Mion was like one tier higher than Shion. Where would I place her as a tier? Keiichi's number 1, of course, K1. Then it would probably be Shion number 2, Rena number 3, Mion number 4, and then Rika, Satoko. Little kiddos at the end. But yeah, so there's my ranking. There's my ranking. Yeah, a tiny bit, but not all the way. Yeah. So that'll be it for today. Maybe we'll get answers next time? Maybe we'll get answers next time. I know we're just gonna go freaking deeper into it, but maybe 1 or 2 more streams and we'll have this chapter finished up. One of my dear friends was kind enough to purchase the next chapter for me, so I don't even have to do that. We can just go right into it right away. We don't have to wait. So, Rika, Satoko, Rena, K1, Mion, and then Shion. That's so wild. All ours are opposite. But, don't get me wrong, I don't hate any of them, you know? I still like all of them. Oh, of course. So, yeah, that'll be it then. Everyone have a good day, good night, good stream? Yeah. So, yeah, I'll be seeing you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your night. Goodbye.